The versatile enforcer. The versatile enforcer viewed the visage from the balcony.
Balcony.
Yeah. I was trying to make my own. The Human Torch was denied a bank loan.
Got it. The fat child died from eating too much candy.
What did that?
Makes you think.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 43 of Court Cousins. My name is Kyle. I'm joined, as always, by my handsome co-host, my cousin, Jason the Pich. Documented by the government, drove down here from Vermont, now in Connecticut, coming to you wherever you are in this beautiful marble in the universe. Today is going to be...
People could see this off this planet. You don't know.
True. It's like the Great Wall of China in that.
Yeah.
There's only a few things visible from space. Pich is one of them.
Greetings from Earth. I, for one, welcome our new overlords.
It's going to be above average, I think. We've already had some chuckles that you have to check out in the outtakes if you're on the Patreon. Today's show, we've got a Chuma Are You OK check-in. Actually, skirt. Not correct. We've got a psychological check-in. Old habits die hard. I'll miss you, Chuma. After that, we're going to go into a social media roundup. We're going to go into our report cards, but of course, we're going to take our Court Cousins slant on those grades. We'll talk about an NBA playoff preview, review the Court Cousins championship, and don't go anywhere, you scallywags. You better stick around, you sexy second cousins, for the large ending.
Scallywag and sexy.
My two favorite things.
Okay.
Almost. I like them almost as I love the second cousins and the all-stars on the Patreon.
Tell me about them.
Shout out to all of the financial contributors to this show. Magic player history. It's not okay to say Okiki, Wiffle, Andy, Dylan Holden, Drum, Rafael Perez, Breadhead, Al, Matthew Bell, Dan Young, Glorian, Damien, Connor, and Yachty.
I'm not your friend, pal. I'm not your pal, buddy. I'm not your buddy, guy.
Those people are, in fact, all of our buddies, Guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cousins, really. But
family.
they didn't come up in there.
They didn't come up in there. Someone who didn't come up in the shout-outs, but is coming up right now. Every month, we do a Court Cousins giveaway. If you're on the Patreon, we do a jersey giveaway. Only $5 to get on the Patreon, like this gentleman, winning himself a jersey right now.
Spin that wheel.
Give it up. Spin that wheel, Pich. Congratulations, Luke Wild. Well done. Luke's been around for a while, man. Happy that you got that. Thank you for all the support. The Patreon community is growing, ladies and gentlemen. It's been fun interacting on the Discord. We get people's input about what goes on to the show on the Patreon.
Yeah, I have a thought about this.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of Patreons on there, but our Patreons, they suggest a lot of stuff for the show. They come on the show.
Yep.
It's a small group right now, so if you kind of want to be a part of this, now's a great time to jump on board.
Absolutely.
Also, I have to question if Luke Wild is just a really wild guy.
Yeah.
Is that his last name? Or is he just a big Minnesota hockey fan? I have questions.
Is it his persona or is it his reality? That's a good question. Luke, let us know, man. Hit us up on the Patreon there, buddy. We've got questions. If you are wild, I'd like to hang out with you. Pich would like to make out with you, too. You have to check the outtakes for that one.
Ooh. I don't know if I'm that wild.
Well, I do want to know how wild you are, how you've been doing, Pich. And we recently changed this up now to the psychological check-in because Cole has many different personas and faces out there on the interwebs. So how are you doing, sir, for the psychological check-in?
Yeah, I probably should have picked one of him being a little groggy because I haven't been sleeping well. I lost two of my top tier pillows lately. I have a 5-pillow system, and I just lost my two best players. Picture the Chicago Bulls dynasty losing Pippen and Jordan. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm trying to win games with just Horace Grant and like
Luke
Steve
Longley.
Kerr and Luke Long. It's difficult.
It's tough.
It's hard to win a championship this way. And like,
Yeah.
even though I might find a time where like, oh, Rodman steps up or Kukoc buries a 3. I'm still missing my 2 best guys. I gotta get out there and get some new pillows because this is tough times right now for me. But
5 pillows. Can I have a follow-up question really quickly?
Sure.
Because sleep is important. I'm sad to see you're not getting good sleep. I've got a pillow configuration myself. Where are your 5 going? Are you doing 1 in back, in front?
2 are really just kind of support pillows. They don't really do much. They're just there in case I need a spare.
Okay.
And that's kind of what I'm working with right now. That's which is like the deep bench guys.
Yeah.
Like you don't really want to have to play them.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry you're not getting sleep.
Well, it is what it is. We're going to get this problem corrected with some new pillows.
Okay.
Just as I'm trying to correct a lot of other issues, I've got this picture here of Cole working out at the arena in the Summit in New York. Locked in with Cole Anthony. He's there. He's putting in that off-season work. That's kind of what I'm doing right now. I started going back to therapy recently, getting back in touch with a guy that I was talking to, just about like what's going on because I left my job and there's some uncertainty. So I just wanted to be able to talk to somebody that's a little outside the walls of the house or the family that can bounce some stuff back off me. And I always feel like it's a good idea for people to do that, and really encourage people to do that quite a bit. Whenever I hear that someone is having like any emotional issues, if they don't have a therapist, that has got to be the thing people go do. Like, I'm not even making any money off this and they're not a sponsor.
Yeah, but you can be.
But there are plenty of places to go get that help. Go do it. Find a way to get some clarity. And this is what I'm doing. I'm in the gym. I'm working things out in the brain to be better prepared for the, sometimes you say a year ahead, but I break things down even to smaller, to like weeks ahead to figure out, what's going on next. So hopefully after this work at the Summit in New York, I will be draining threes from long range and telling everybody fact and all the fun stuff that Cole brings to the table.
Hell yeah, man. I'm happy to hear that. That's always the toughest thing to do in transition times for me, is to make them meaningful and to not go into some type of habit that maybe I don't want to embody in that time. Like, you're being reflective, you're taking time for yourself, your mind. I admire that. That's well done, sir.
Oh, thank you. Well, how are you doing for the check-in here?
I have a photo here of Cole on vacation with 2 of his friends. It looks tropical. It looks nice. As you know, Pich, I just got back from vacation. I was down in New Orleans with 2 of my best friends, their significant others who are now my friends as well, have been for a while. So we've got a tight crew. We went down there, saw music, bounced to like 5 different music venues the first day. I was ecstatic. I was in the music industry for this. I love me some music. That was fantastic. Had some good food. Went on one of those fan boats with a gator.
That looked fun.
Got way closer to gators than I thought we actually would. They were right up next to the boat. They come up. They know the tour guides. It's like,
I saw your boy Jake holding one. I was like, look at this guy holding a gator.
It's
right
surprising.
now.
Yeah, Jake's one of my boys there in the back of this photograph. But the thing, if you'll notice, all looks good on the surface right there. But this photo captured Cole, and it looks like mid-laugh.
Yep.
He's having a good time. But if you can see that expression that they caught him in, there's a little consternation. There's a little worry there. There's a little unsureness. Almost looks like he got caught in a sneeze at that top of that sneeze. You got to zoom in a little bit. Yeah, you got to check it out. And that's kind of how it always was with me. My status quo is like always a little underlying anxiety. I'm going back to work soon. Want to make sure everything's good with that. But overall, I've been doing what I need to combat that and move around that anxiety. Got in the gym yesterday, going to get in the gym after this today. Been eating pretty well, staying off the sauce. It's going to be a good start of the week. So I'm taking that vacation energy, stepping looking fresh with Cole, and trying to just take some positivity into the next week.
What about his boy wearing a Kobe Bryant jersey with him, though?
Yeah, I can.
Any thoughts?
Maybe I'll crop that out by the time this gets to post-production.
Jake wasn't wearing any New Orleans Pelicans stuff or anything.
No. The Pelicans were playing, but you would have no idea. The city did not care at all about that. That was a very important game for them. Didn't matter. One iota.
People go there for the ghost tours, the gators, and the beads, right? So, nobody cares about that.
Oh, man. We got so many beads. We were there on Easter. We thought it'd be shut down. Nope. There were 3 parades.
Come on.
Oh, he is risen in New Orleans.
I was gonna say,
he is risen.
They got all those cemeteries and stuff like that, and they have a holiday about a guy coming back from the dead, and you thought they were going to be shut down? Come on, dude.
Yeah, it was dope. So now we're going into the social media roundup, that segment where we scour the interwebs looking for your tweets, twats, and insightful posts about our beloved Orlando Magic. And boy, do we have a good stew for you today. We're going to get it started by none other than the man himself, the versatile enforcer, number 34 in your playbook, number 1 in your hearts, Wendell Carter Jr. He tweets, 5 years in this thing and only getting better, turning the O up another notch this year. He's ready to go. There was a lot of energy coming from Wendell Carter Jr. If you watched any of the exit interviews, which I highly recommend you do, they're available. The only place I found them was NBA.com, reading through Josh Cohen's kind of like wrap up of the year. He had all the interviews linked there, so you could see them. Wendell Carter Jr. touching on some of the same points that a lot of the players were going on, bringing that consistency into the offseason to take it up another notch next year.
I think it's interesting he decided to use the devil horns there.
Oh, that's a rock horns.
Also, I question whether are we turning up the O as in Orlando, or can you score more? Turn up the O? Is that where? Later, we'll get into that when we look back at an old episode and talk about who we thought our top scorers of the year were going to be. We did some starter backup bench. We're going to revisit an old one. We've never done that on the show before, but it's time to start going back, taking a look and seeing how do we do?
Yeah.
So that'll be part of that later.
Got some of our receipts. And Wendell, of course, depending on who you talk to and what day it is, he's part of that core. I consider him a part of the core of this team moving forward as an integral piece. And David Steele notes that of this core, Wendell being one of them, the highest percentage of points by players 25 years old or younger. The Magic lead the league at 91.7% of our points coming from players under 25. I'm Playing Dead agrees. This is definitely anything. The other teams on that list are OKC, Houston, Detroit, and San Antonio. There's a big drop-off, though, between Houston and Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, look, everybody's heard about the core. The core is clearly liquid hot magma. We don't really have a lot of guys older than 25 on the squad, to be fair. So it's kind of hard for us to not get most of our points from those guys. It's anything. It's something. It's all the things. And that's part of the reason that everyone points to the Thunder and the Magic, and to a lesser extent the Rockets as well, and Pistons, as having like this good, the future's bright. Like there's, if something goes wrong from here, somebody screwed something up. Yeah. And I want to drop the F-bomb there, but I figure it's a little early in the show.
It's a little early in the show.
So I'm going to wait. I'm going to save it for later.
Yeah.
I'm not that passionate about everyone's cores, but I am passionate about ours. I think it's fantastic. We like a lot of the guys on this team. When you look at like our oldest players are Michael Carter Williams and Gary Harris. Yeah. Like those guys were born when I was in high school, so they're still not
so young.
They're still pretty young. Like I just, they've been, those two guys have 8 years of experience, and that's the most of anybody on our team. And those two guys may not be on our team next year.
Right.
So, I mean, are we getting even younger, or are we going to bring in a veteran? I don't know. At a certain point, I'm kind of like, most of these young guys have played so much to this point. Like Cole acts like a veteran. Right. Like some of these guys got enough veteran stuff from the dudes who have come through. Yeah. That we may not need to get that like 10-year NBA vet to come in.
We're blessed because we have all this young talent, as the statistics shows, but something that I've taken away, and I'm sure you have second cousins out there too, is, as you touched on, Pich, these are not just young men. These are extraordinary young men, a lot of them. They've got good heads on their shoulders. They have the right mindset, I think, led by Coach Mosley, who talked extensively in his exit interviews about just leveling up the focus and attention to detail. I think we saw that as the year went on. Consistency continued to get better, and it just needs to keep coming next year. These guys all have a nose for wanting to be in the gym. Goga talked about it in his exit interview. He was blown away by the fact that when he walked into the gym, there was always somebody working, no matter what time of the day. It was really a family. These guys are not only young, they're not only prolific in their scoring and what they've done so far in the league, they're together. They put in consistent effort and actions and words, as Coach Mosley said, which I really love. That's what being consistent is all about. and will just continue to be more successful because look at the team from last year to this year, everything has gone up. Mm-hmm. Everything has gone up. Our 3-point shooting percentage, our field goal percentage as a team, our rebounding, our offense, our defense, like things are getting better. So just keep going.
Yeah, you've got all these other NBA teams with a ton of question marks about injuries or fighting amongst each other. Like there's so many questions that a lot of other NBA teams have. And look, we're not in position to win the NBA championship this year, but of all the teams in the NBA, I think that like you've got to feel really good about where we're at. And there's a lot of teams, I'd say at least half the league doesn't feel that way.
Amen to that. And where we're at is 12 wins better than we were last year, which leads us right into Magic Player History's post about the best season turnarounds in Orlando Magic history. We have Shaq coming into the league 92-93 plus 20 wins.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And the reason that so many fans adore Steve Clifford and what he did for this squad is because the next largest leap was in 2018-19 with, sadly a somewhat forgettable team. 17 win. Yeah, Peach forgot. 17 win improvement. Dwight Howard's entry into the league, 15 wins. Dennis Scott's entry into the league, 13 wins.
Well, that was our second year as a team.
Right.
But still.
Yeah, that's something.
Yep.
And Paolo now this year, 12 wins, tied with the 07-08 improvement when we got Rashard Lewis for 12 wins as well.
Already a good team. So
I know that's probably the most impressive. Yeah. Well, that's an interesting question. Would you put one of these as most impressive, or is there a storyline that you want to pull out of any of these? I like that one that you just said about the 2007-8 team because I wonder how many games that team won before it. It wasn't only a few. It was.
You're looking it up, so I'll fill. But there's no way Shaq changing 20 wins isn't. I mean, that's one of the biggest one-season turnarounds I think in NBA history. So I mean, the difference he made coming in was just no one could handle this guy. It's like all of a sudden there's just a guy in the league no one can stop. And he's ripping down backboards and doing stuff, and it was transcendent. And I mean, Dwight did the same thing on a little bit lesser of a scale, but 15 wins in that era was nothing for them to shake a stick at either, because But those are both 2 number 1 picks, so it's fair to compare them to Paolo. I think the team around Paolo is probably a little better than that team was around Dwight in that first season.
Yeah, and probably around
Shaq in that first season, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Dennis Scott was there. Nick Anderson was
already there.
But they didn't have Penny on that first team,
right?
And they didn't have Grant and some of those guys. So, it's fun to be able to have a comparison and have to be in this picture, right? Like, I mean, if Paolo says he's second in number 1 draft picks to have the wins total behind Shaq and Dwight, well, that's a good spot to be.
Yeah, I mean, this year's team could have easily been 4th on this list. We threw away some games there at the end that we probably would have had a shot at. So,
and to be fair, if not for all the injuries and stuff like that last season, we probably would have had more wins, and this wouldn't feel like as big a jump.
True.
So, last season was a crazy season for a lot of
I could pull the 5-20 start out on you too, and if we had Markelle Fultz from day one, this would be somewhat different. That going back to that 07-08 improvement of plus 12 wins as well. The year before they were like a 500 team, 40 and 42.
Right. So that makes that more impressive than you would think. It's 6th on this list, or tied for 5th, but it's more impressive to take that next step up.
And seeing that this is kind of our 5th biggest step in the history of the NBA franchise in terms of win, Salty Magicaneer says, I'm a little biased, but this is my favorite rebuild in the history of the NBA. So it's kind of a nice little timeline piece of all of the things that have occurred in, I guess this person starts it with Cole Anthony's drafting with the 15th pick a few years ago. Some people might start it a little bit earlier. He's a Salty Magicaneer is being nice, not starting at the Jonathan Isaac and Chuma Okeke and Mo Bamba picks, and starting in at Cole Anthony because those picks are on our front office. But do you have a favorite part of this rebuild? It of course ends with the Woj bomb of us selecting Paolo Banchero.
It's being compared on the side there to this Vince McMahon meme, which I think my face probably matched all these faces along the way on the side. Because I think, obviously Cole Anthony was great, and I liked, it's Cole Anthony from UNC, so I'm for this.
Yes.
Right? That kind of did make me do that. And then once we moved Aaron Gordon, that's when I got excited, right?
Yeah.
That's when I first texted you and was like, we're doing it. Yeah, we're finally getting rid of that guy. And we're moving forward. And then, that next one comes through and you're like, ooh, 2 first rounders and a Wendell Carter. Ooh, a younger, better big than Vooch. This is going to be exciting.
Well, okay.
This is me now.
Yeah, okay. It's you. It's your point of view.
And then being able to draft Jalen Suggs and Franz Wagner. And to be honest, did not know a ton about Franz the day of draft day, but I was excited about Jalen Suggs.
Yeah.
So I did make this face.
Yeah.
And then we were there at the draft when they drafted Paolo Banchero, and I believe I had laser eyes for a second.
No, I think we both had laser eyes. That's one of my biggest regrets of something we haven't captured on camera. Brought the selfie stick and everything, and then when it happened, we were just too pumped up.
We have video of it.
Oh, yeah, you do
was
have
on the
some
show.
video. Okay.
You put it on there.
Yeah. It was low quality, though, Pete.
Well, it was.
So
I didn't have my good phone
back.
back then. This thing was different, but you still got to see the excitement.
I can't fit. I am not an NBA expert enough to think of where this ranks. If I took this seriously and talking about ranking my favorite rebuilds in history, I'll leave that to some of the other pundits.
A lot of teams that have built over the years. So.
Who knows? I mean, the Boston Celtics, when I was there, kind of followed. They've gone from boom to bust and boom back again pretty damn quickly in terms of trading their big three, getting some assets, drafting Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. I like that. I like that model. You talk about the Milwaukee Bucks, which is our current front office. There's a lot of similarities. Those are all really good models, and we're kind of following the same. If I'm thinking about a step here that has me the most excited, I think it's the day that we got Jalen Suggs and Franz Wagner, and we were pumped up maybe for the wrong reason at the time, but now that Jalen Suggs is coming back around and looking like the player that we thought he could be, that day could be the most important of this rebuild.
Yeah.
What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? What has been the most important step off the salty Magic Nears, or did he leave it out? And is leaving out?
Maybe it's not there. Maybe somebody enjoys, us picking up Bol Bol. Then maybe they're into that.
Or trading away Jonathan Simmons and a second-round pick for Markelle Fultz. Where do you start?
That's right. That's
rebuild?
not on this list. That should be.
And that is a part of the Weltman-Hammond front office. So, what do you think? What's your favorite step in this rebuild? Is it your favorite in Magic history? I think it's our best in Magic history, certainly. Okay, so that maybe it's not so surprising to us where we are given the status of our rebuild and what we know about our front office, but NBA Geeks and Quincy Hoops posted the most surprising teams to them this year in the NBA. We are number 5. The Kings are first. The Knicks are second. OKC third. Lakers fourth. Us fifth. Pacers, Jazz, Grizzlies, Cavs, and Nuggets. What say you, Peach? Which of these do you agree with, and which would you move around?
I mean, I think 1 through 5, and even 1 through 6. I mean, even 1 through 7. I don't understand why the Grizzlies or the Cavs would be surprising. Those are 2 teams the Cavs we knew were going to take that step. We'll talk about that later. And the Grizzlies were like the 2 or 3 seed last year. So that's not surprising.
They were the 2 seed last year and they're the 2 seed this year. So I don't understand what's surprising.
Not surprising. I mean, the Nuggets, I guess, going from like a 2 or 3 seed to the 1 seed is a little. I think it's more about those teams. Obviously the Kings are number 1 and should be. And the Knicks, I think, we weren't sure if Jalen Brunson was going to be the answer there, but they had a nice season. I mean, look, above us, it's all teams that are in the play, at least in the play-in or in the playoffs.
Yep.
So we're the first team that appears that doesn't make it, and then the only team with the Pacers and the Jazz that isn't there at all. So it's good to be on this list. It's good that these groups have nothing to do with the Orlando Magic. There's no favoritism or homerness.
Yeah.
It's just them all of a sudden going, who was surprising? The Orlando Magic aren't an easy win anymore.
Okay.
So that's good. That's part of it. I see a lot of people getting impatient with the respect and how we don't have any games on national TV. Look, that all comes, all right? That doesn't just come overnight. This was a season we knew was going to be we got to find out what we got.
Yeah.
And we did. And we'll talk about that more later with the report cards on players, but it's good to be on this list. I'm glad everyone else thinks we're surprising. I don't think the Magic community would be surprised by our team.
No. I like where we're at. It's nice that we're getting more pub. I think more to come. I think, again, without our start, if we would have had our regular team and been in the playoffs, we might be even higher on this. But it's, again, not surprising to us. Maybe it's surprising to NBA geeks and Quincy Hoops, but not to us. The team that is left off here that was certainly surprising, I think there's a couple notables here, were the Dallas Mavericks, who were a highly ranked
surprising
team.
in a bad way.
Yeah, in a bad way. They went to the Western Conference Finals last year.
Yep.
And you think Luka coming back. They got Christian Wood. He looked like an interesting pickup, but it all went to hell in a handbasket, and they ended up sitting guys in what was for them a must-win game, but clearly not organizationally a must-win game in an effort to try to maintain a top 10 pick.
There were some dudes out there I'd never heard of. I was like, why is this guy shooting a clutch three right now?
So that's bonkers to me. I never expected them to end up so low. Kind of in a similar vein to that is the Brooklyn Nets, and I guess that's outside of control, but maybe not. I guess you could have seen that dumpster fire coming a little ways away, but
you are gonna like what we review about episode 26 and your thoughts on the Nets.
Are we gonna talk about them later? Yeah. I wonder what my receipts are. I don't even.
I watched the episode. It was very fun. I watched that little segment and was like, "Look at us go."
I wonder what happens. Okay, that'll be interesting for me to see because my short-term memory is not great.
Fact. Even though this was a long time ago.
Or long-term memory. Okay, moving on. This is an interesting proposition. Some of these surprising teams, Pish, that we just spoke about a moment ago, they're, as we said, on the outside looking in. Ourselves, the Pacers are there. Now the Thunder are kind of out of it. And this was suggested on Gilbert Arenas' Gil's Arena podcast. That they should do an NBA way-offs and have a bottom 4 teams play for the number 1 pick the same week as the playing games.
Yeah.
He's just shaking the fist in glorious victories.
I love this idea because then those teams that are tanking, they don't necessarily get rewarded. Like they then have to play for it. You can't just lose.
The other side
eventually
of this blade,
have to win.
The other side of this blade is, like you said, like a team like the Mavericks not playing it out to the end. They're going to sit all their guys, get into this little play-in tournament, although I don't think they qualify for worst 4.
They don't. No.
So if you're kind of on the fringe, you got to make a decision. Right. I'm either going for it or I'm not. And then have the play-in, have this.
And I think the losing team, I'm so excited about this. So I think the losing team, like whoever comes in 4th, like you have a consolation game. Like,
okay. Yeah.
You put those 3 and 4 team. Whoever comes in 4th,
yes,
boop, you get bumped to the back. You get like the 10th pick.
No.
Yes. Because you have to encourage those teams to not just sit their stars and be like, hey, we'd be the best team of the bottom 4, so let's just get down in there and then we'll get the number 1 pick. You have to have that penalty in the back of the mind that like, ooh, if we lose 2 games, we just end up dropping back to like number 10. Now, I don't think they'd do it.
See that?
But let's be honest, it'd be fun.
It would be fun. I'm wondering where the motivation lies because I clearly see the organizational motivation, but then to have players want to play this play-in tournament to get the number 1 pick who could, arguably be the guy that takes their job.
Yeah.
I don't know if the motivation's there for the players. It might have to add some buckaroos, but they're already talking about adding a. They're adding a tournament,
a mid-season
tournament that's games are gonna be played throughout the year, like they do in the old Soccers, which Pish watches religiously. He wakes up early so that he can catch all the games in Europe. Oh, he loves it.
I already don't care about whatever they're cooking up for some in-game tournament, tournament.
But you care about this.
Doesn't matter. It's not college basketball. It's a college basketball thing.
Yeah,
like you go play a weekend tournament somewhere, holiday tournament.
That's
a college basketball thing.
I like it. I think it's going to be kind of fun. It'll add a little bit of intensity to certain games that might not have it. There's more and more European players coming into the league. They're familiar with this type of stuff. And it's not that foreign. It's not that crazy to say certain games that are scheduled are counting towards this tournament. I think it's going to be fun. I don't know. This wasn't the point of this podcast, but we got on this tangent. I like it.
Oh, we're way off.
Yeah, I guess we are way off. What do you think about this? Pish loves the NBA way-offs tournament, playing to get the number 1 pick. What do you think about the mid-season
then we'd
tournament?
also know who gets the pick like immediately, right?
Yeah,
we wouldn't have to wait for the balls to drop.
I mean, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. You got to wait for the balls to drop, or you got to wait for the tournament to happen. Oh, but this happening the same week as the playing games? Sure.
Oh, he didn't make a puberty joke. All right. I was going to go there.
I completely missed it.
All right. The balls drop. All right. Let's move on to the next one. Speaking of balls.
Speaking of balls, how does this have to do with balls? You go.
NBA draft. Doesn't matter where the ping pong ball comes up.
That's
according
true.
to Mr. Weltgod, a stud among men. He says his official Orlando Magic NBA draft board looks like this. And it's 1 through 10. I'm good with whoever John and Jeff pick because they drafted Franz and Paolo.
Yeah.
That's a good top 10. It's hard to argue with that. I don't think I'd change anything. Maybe I might go Jeff and John at number 5, but I don't know if I'd change anything.
I see what you're doing. There. Yeah, I think really you hope as a fan, or I hope as a fan, that your team is going to hit on some of those guys who turn out to be supreme talents. Mm-hmm. Because you see year after year, I mean, they've got 30 picks in the first round, and there's a whole second round, and you never hear about most of these guys.
Yep.
So if you can strike gold once, twice, then you're really in the money. A third time, and what are we even doing? We're being gluttonous. That's we've already, I think, almost gotten that, depending on what happens with Jalen Suggs right now.
Well, look, Paulo, Franz, and Suggs are all top 10 picks.
Yeah.
So that's not really what you're talking about. I feel like you need to hit on a second rounder or a late first. Whatever we do with the Bulls
There's a lot of first round guys that don't do jack either. A lot of top 10 guys that don't impact the way that Paulo and Franz already have.
You had to get one of those like Shea Gilgeous-Alexanders and mid first rounder that like ends up being somebody.
Yeah.
And I think that could be key with the Bulls pick, because that's going to be around where it is.
But, I could nitpick. We could talk about Chumo KK. We could talk about the Jonathan Isaac picks. We like Cole Anthony pick. Overall, though, they have, I think, done plenty to gain the trust of Orlando Magic fans. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of nice. I release all responsibility to you, John and Jeff, to do your damn jobs, and I trust that they will do a good job.
Right.
So I like this mindset from Walt God, because it allows me to not stress about whatever, even if the guy that comes up on draft night, or the two gentlemen that come up, are guys that when we're doing all our pre-draft nonsense haven't talked about at all, in that spot or with that pick. And it goes, hey, I trust it to be good, and I'm going to ride it out, and let's go. Let's get ready for the season.
Yeah, they've obviously known they were going to have at least 2 picks all this season, so they're scouting that.
Yep, 15, top 10.
5 to 15 range of guys, so they know what's there, and I wouldn't be surprised if, we got a guy with like the Bulls pick that we don't have on the radar that they know about.
Right.
And like God suggests, we're on board.
Yeah.
Anybody that's on their draft board's on mine.
Yeah, I don't know. What's the prevailing opinion, I think, out there, correct me if I'm wrong, Second Cousins, we're 2 thumbs up on the John and Jeff front office, but I know some people are salty. If you want to be salty in the comments. It helps the algorithm. So good and bad, put it down there.
Bring some pepper, too, because you don't want to overspice just one way. Let's mix it up. But, I mean, people sometimes are impatient. And that's the only people that would probably be against what's going on. Mm-hmm. Where like you wanted to make the play-in this year that badly, and it's like wasn't that important.
Yeah.
Next year, we got to be somewhere.
Got to be in there.
In there.
Yeah, I'm victim of that too, because I'm already ready. Like, are we gonna pull the trigger? Kind of that move. We're all still waiting for that move where they utilize some of these resources and bring in a player that is key to whatever is happening moving forward. Mm-hmm. And I think that even is a little premature for even off-season discussions this year. Just looking at John and Jeff and how patient they've been historically.
Yeah,
I'm ready for it. I want to be. I think this team is really good and ready to go. But realistically, I think John and Jeff playing the patient game is the right thing to do. One more year with kind of just this general core, and then you really utilize some of those resources that the squad has. Light one, fun one.
Yes, I want to get into Cole Anthony's
Lady Goga
Snapchat.
Yeah,
where he has created this graphic Lady Goga.
It's just good.
Is the Goga wave taking over the social media? It sounds like I'm missing things. You were telling me before the show.
A little bit. In Goga's exit interview, I learned one of the reporters asked him, "Are you going to be starting a Twitter account?" And he said no and then joked. There was another side joke I didn't even understand, but someone has created a Goga
I've seen
Twitter
it. I thought
account.
it was him at first, but
Yeah.
you're telling me not.
But it's not, and there's just some funny memes on there, and I mean, this is his profile pic is just Goga behind I think is that a
That's the Georgian flag.
flag with his hat on. I'm not sure if this gentleman is from Georgia or not, or is just a fan. They've clearly been following Goga since the Pacers days.
Okay.
So they have memes about him from then. So this is a Goga fan out there, and Goga's totally cool with him spreading the Goga gospel out there.
Hey, if Goga's not on Twitter, he's probably going to live a nice, sane life.
He is.
So enjoy not being on there.
Well, that's kind of what he jokes about. He's like, no, I'll let him have it. He's like, no blood. I think it's fun what he's doing. Like, he doesn't want it. And that's another high character guy. Not to say social media is the hell on earth, but it is. It
can be.
It definitely can be. It just, my attention span, my patience, it jacks me up a little bit. But I like a guy who's like, nope, I'm separating myself. It shows me that he's here for business. I don't know. We'll talk a little bit about that more.
Business Goga.
At the Goga time.
Wow.
One last piece of Magic news in the social media roundup before we move on to our player report cards is this from the NBA G League account. Pich is wearing the Lakeland Magic jersey. Who's that? Kevon Harris.
Kevon Harris.
The Orlando Magic will relocate its NBA G League affiliate to Kissimmee, Florida, and will be rebranded as the Osceola Magic.
Oh.
What? You were curious how I was going to pronounce that?
No idea how to pronounce that name of that town. Didn't bother looking it up either. I'm like, are we Osceola?
See, your out-of-towner card is showing. Your out-of-towner is showing, Pich.
Well, it was weird. I saw Kissimmee and was like, well, why aren't they the Kissimmee Magic? But
I think it's the county, Osceola County.
Okay, so they're trying to just get everybody together. And even closer to Orlando I did look up to see where it was.
Yeah, I did
I was like, how far away are they going?
So, Orlando, Florida, Floridians, second cousins out there, forgive me, but I confused initially Kissimmee with Tallahassee.
Yeah, that would have been
And
too far.
Tallahassee's at the north of the state, close to the border with Georgia, right? That's what we border, yes. And so I thought to myself, oh, that's an interesting move, moving further away from the team, but maybe trying to break into a new demographic, bring pro basketball to that area, try to get something happening. But no, lo and behold, Kissimmee is actually closer to Orlando than even Lakeland is.
Yep.
So they're bringing the team even closer to the pro squad or to the top tier team, the NBA squad. And I think it's, upon further reflection, it's a good move. I see the other side of the coin is, no, we're actually going to allow Orlando Magic fans to now go to see the Osceola brand of basketball, the G League brand. It's a cheaper night out for the family.
Yep.
It's good family fun. The Magic fans are in this area, and they're the ones who care most about the Osceola Magic, the G League affiliate. So,
yeah, I don't think the Magic are going to care for this.
This take you have?
This comparison that I'm going to make here.
Oh, no.
This is sort of like when the drug dealer gives you that first taste for free, right? Like you guys go to a few of these games and you're like, oh man, I like this guy. And then like when they make the big squad, your kid's going to be like, oh, we got to go watch Kevon Harris. We just watched him. He dropped like 30 points. He's now on the Magic. We got to go watch the Magic games. It's brilliant.
It's a gateway drug.
It's brilliant. I like it. It sounds like it's going to be a better arena for them because I was not impressed with what I saw from the Lakeland Magic arena.
The RP funding
especially
arena,
seeing where I've seen some other teams like in the East that I've seen, like the Maine Celtics and the Knicks.
Yeah, the Knicks.
Obviously are playing in the Bridgeport Arena, so
Right.
I mean, that's a pretty good size arena. Not that they fill it by any means.
No.
I mean,
Ain't
they're
nobody
lucky if they get 10% in there.
But it's a nice facility.
But it's a nice facility. Yeah, the other one looked like a high school gym, so hopefully they can bring in some more bodies.
Yeah. And it'll only make it easier for guys going back and forth.
But still make
practicing.
super fun jerseys that you can go on and look at and be like, I got to get these. And also, I thought this was a good summer vibe.
Yeah.
Because it's been hot lately.
Yeah. Just
So
rock
it's
it.
like-
You got to take the guns out, though, Bo. Sun's out, guns out.
Well, the sun's not out today,
That's true.
so leave the guns in.
They're away. What do you
It's
think?
it's legal for me to carry them in Florida.
It is. in Connecticut, too. How do you feel about this move. Some of you Floridian second cousins, I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on it. Let us know in the comments. And maybe we can make an Osceola Magic game next time we're down there for Court Cousins night.
Yeah, a little easier to hit now with it being right there.
Yeah, we'll have to hopefully add that to the docket.
All right.
Peace, you ready to go to school? This is where I'm in my element. He's putting on the glasses, ladies and gentlemen. He looks studious. Are you ready, sir?
Let's do it. got my comp notebook.
Look at that. Look at that. Flashbacks to middle school. We're going to do the player report cards. We're going to do them in a Court Cousins way. They might not all be grades. Pich and I just said we were going to grade them how we felt, and I'm curious to see how you...
Well, that's what I did last year, and I think you wanted in on the fun.
I wanted in on the fun, for sure.
And I welcome you.
So we're going to go in alphabetical order, but do we want to talk about just a few guys in a category and not maybe spend as much time? No disrespect, but I guess a little disrespect. I clumped Michael Carter-Williams, Kevon Harris, Admiral Schofield, and Jay Scrubb into the participation trophy section. And that's what I'm giving them on their report card.
They all get the same thing?
They're all getting a participation trophy.
Okay.
We're going to say, hey, we're in Gen Z now. Everyone, yay, you did it. You came out, and it was so wonderful, and we loved it, and we love you, and it was great. Here's your participation trophy. I mean... some of these guys, what we got, I really liked what we got from Kevon Harris.
Yeah.
If I had to talk about someone that out of the group, I might elevate to, hey, you can come to class again next year. It's going to be Kevon Harris. Admiral Schofield, I love what he brings, but he's just a tweener guy, and we'll talk about that. I'll talk about that a little bit more. The skill set he has isn't really connected to the size frame he has. He's playing like a 4, but he really is. He's 6'6". He's undersized. He's beefy. Right. He's a beefy man. Don't get me wrong.
Yes,
he's bringing the beef, but he can't. It's tough for him to guard 4s. He's not shooting, although he does shoot the 3 ball better than I think most of us would expect. He's still not at that elite level where he can be playing guards and guarding guards. So. Participation trophies for all. Enjoyed your contributions, gentlemen. Thank you. Have a good day.
Yeah, so I gave them all individual grades. I gave MCW, I gave a check mark. The community loves this dude. I don't know. I'm not around that community, so I don't know, but everybody seems really geeked on him. The guys seem to like him, so it's a positive for our squad, even if it's just as the and one guy on the bench.
Yeah.
Kevon, I gave a pass. That's a passing grade. I mean, he did what we asked him to do when he was called upon, which wasn't often, but he did help fill in for a while. And I'm giving a job well done sticker to Admiral Schofield because that guy just came in and was a dog when he needed to be. I mean, look, is he the best player? Nope. But he does what he gives you all he's got, and that's all you can ask. That's why you get a job well done sticker. And Jay Scrubb, I just wrote down that you have to play more than JI to qualify. So he just joined the team too late. Hasn't played a lot. Did get a chance to get into a game. Got a bucket. Love that for him.
Incomplete.
Didn't see enough.
Okay.
So
incomplete grade for Jay Scrubb. Okay, so for the rest of the guys, Peach, we are going to go now in alphabetical order. And we will be starting with none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Cole Anthony.
Come on, Cole.
It's a good spot to start.
Yep.
Feels like one of the emotional leaders on the squad. For me, I gave him a 91% on the tomato meter.
All right.
Which is what they used to rate movies.
Yeah. You're a big movie buff.
No. But the critics usually score is a little higher than sometimes or a little lower than the fans score.
They're snobby.
So for me, I'm in this fan because I'm a fan.
Yeah.
So this is a 91 by the fans. So the people like this movie. Now the critics, I think they've got him at probably about 79.
Oh.
And that's hard.
Ooh.
But those critics are like wanting him to be something completely different. For me, he checks a lot of the boxes. He does a lot of the things. He led our bench whenever we were in there, and our bench outscored a lot of people, a lot of nights, and that was in large part due to what he was doing out on the court. That was an area where we really made headway against teams. Sometimes we struggled against team starters, but we could make headway on the bench, and Cole's leading the charge there. So I mean, I can't ask for much more from him. His scoring's a little down from last season. He played 60 games, but overall, very pleased with it.
I'd have to agree. I definitely disagree with the critics, those snobby bastards.
The critics, man. They're always tough on stuff.
Get the sticks out of your rumps. Come on now. Embrace the Cole Anthony.
Come on, Cole.
Cole Anthony, I mean, all of his shooting metrics went up this year. He's in the top half of the league in all of those shooting metrics, which is all you can really ask for. Definitely above all of his career averages. He averaged 13 points this year, 4.8 rebounds. Give him 5 rebounds, ladies and gentlemen. 4 assists on 36% from beyond the arc and 45.5% from the floor. His effective field goal percentage is now 51.8%, which kind of combines your field goal percentage and your 3-point
stupid.
No, it's not. What it does is it values the 3-point ball as more points than just a 2-point shot, because more points.
Yeah.
So it takes that into account. It does favor 3-point shots. So who's the best effective field goal percentage in the league? Stephen Curry, because the majority of his shots are that. They're juicier shots. But he's 23rd in the league among point guards. So last time I checked, there's 30 teams in the league.
And he's not a starting point guard.
Right, exactly. But that number, if you looked at effective field goal percentage, might indicate that he definitely could be. And he's shown that he can be a starting point guard on a rebuilding Magic team. And now that we are, I wouldn't say in that quite rebuilding phase, we're now entering, hey, we want to be competing for playoff basketball phase. The question will become, can he be maybe not a starting guard on that squad, on that type of team, but at least a 6-man off the bench, contributing 8-man rotation? And I think resoundingly the answer is yes. The consistency has come around this year, and I think it's only going to get better. Yeah, sometimes the defense is a liability, but the team has grown and gotten better so much defensively around him. We're not seeing how many fewer times did we see Cole getting stuck in a screen on their big in the paint? Not as many. And that is not just him working harder on the defensive side. That's the team working defensively better around him. And because of that, I think that Cole's strengths can now come out in the best way possible as a scoring guard with that punch off the bench, who has a nose for the boards, which I know Pich loves. Little man can board the ball.
I got to say, pound for pound, got to be one of the best rebounders.
Got to be one of the best. You got to take that into consideration. And also just the hype man of the team. He's one of the emotional leaders. He's, as you said, he's a young player who don't look like it. And because his dad has been in the NBA, he knows what it takes to have an NBA career.
Yeah.
You're not worried about him, his head going other places. He's laser focused on this. He's got the right mindset. And I'm giving him an A- in Mr. Langen's class for the year. I just love what he brought. I wanted more consistency from him. He brought that. I wanted more defensive effort. He brought that. A-, Cole. Well done, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Okay, now on to the prized rookie, the rookie of the year, Paolo Banchero. I just made a short about Paolo, so check it out if you haven't. I'm trying this new format, just having fun with it. But I mean,
that's a short. We're gonna do a long right now.
Yeah, here's the long of it. This guy is an elite company. We're talking about a playing style that looks a lot similar to LeBron James when he came into the league, but honestly a little bit more skilled than I remember LeBron coming into the league. He matched LeBron's 40, 20-point games. That's elite company. He's a complete player. We've seen him do it on the boards. His assists are right around 4. I expect more assists to be coming for Paolo as we're getting to know, the players are getting to know each other. They're building cohesion. Shots are going down. There are a lot of high scoring triple doubles in this young man's future. I mean, the Magic Johnson, Larry Bird joining them as the only rookies in their first 31 games to have, 600 points, 200 rebounds, 120 assists. This is rare air that we have here. And because of that, Pich, I just want to give him a hug. That's my grade. Just a hug. Just a thank you. It's a hug. It's a bro hug. It's one of those, you clap on, you get those, and then around the back.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, it's like
a dap
nice,
up. And
it's a bro hug.
Okay.
But I'm holding on a little bit extra. I'm holding on a little extra.
Just enough to make him slightly uncomfortable.
Slightly awkward. Yeah, slightly awkward. But that's okay. He's like, why is this grown man?
Just long enough for him to think about the nipple on nipple contact that could be happening through a shirt. Yeah.
Well, he's so tall that my mouth would probably be at his nipple.
Now it's weird.
He'll feel weird when I just kind of lick out and just lick that hang just a little bit.
Okay, let's get you off the tee of our rookie of the year for a second.
No. All jokes aside, though, the hug is because I think we got a guy. We got a guy, and we might want to talk about other guys that we have, and we do have a bunch, but I believe that Paolo Banchero is a star in this league. He brings a complete skill set, and the thing that we've talked about so much, getting to the line. 7.4 free throw attempts per game. That's 10th in the whole entire NBA. And he's only going to get better, ladies and gentlemen. He's only going to continue to finish more with and ones. So the sky is the limit for this young man. And for that, he's bringing our Orlando Magic along with him. I just got to give him a hug, man.
The free throws is the thing that he brings that we were missing. We did not get to the line a lot last year. We don't have that guy that gets star calls. That's what he is. So that is a key point because, honestly, he didn't shoot the ball that well consistently throughout the season. But as long as he's getting the line, he could still end up with 20 on a bad night. We talked about it several times throughout the year that he's capable of doing that, and that's all thanks to him being able to get to the line. For me, I've got him. I'm giving him a full house. Right? It's a good damn hand.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
It's beatable. Mm-hmm. It's a beatable hand. Mm-hmm. You could still see something better come up. You can get that straight flush going, something that will beat it. But you feel pretty good with a full house. Oh. I just want to hopefully see him improve some of those shooting marks. And sometimes it seems like he gets out of the flow of the offense, doesn't get the ball enough. And I know that's kind of the way we've had things based, where we're kind of a team unit where we can win games if multiple people score double figures. But at some point, he'll be he's the clear number one option. He should get more shots, but he needs to make more of them. So that way we don't have to question whether we're giving him too many looks. So I'm loving what I see so far. Dylan, I was talking with on Twitter, our Patreon. He was on a couple episodes ago in our five with the fam segment. He was wondering why he's not getting so much love, like with all these things that compare him to Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and obviously it's easy to compare him to LeBron James, the way they looked in their first season. And, in the national market, it's not quite getting as much pub. And to him, I said exactly what I'm going to say right now on the show. We know he's awesome. Mm-hmm. Real basketball watchers and people who pay attention to the game, they know it too. Soon, all the rest of these people will be on board, and I don't care that they are late to this party.
Yeah.
Because all the people I want to see at this party are already here.
Yes.
If you smell what the Pich is cooking. Yeah. Hashtag Magic Together.
Hashtag Magic Together, yeah.
Don't get upset about stuff like that. And another thing that I don't think people should get upset about is whether he's the unanimous Rookie of the Year or not, he will be Rookie of the Year.
Nonsense.
Don't let a couple of other guys from Utah ruin this moment. It's a good time. Don't get caught up in all that little shit. Everyone's eventually going to be on board and know about it. It's okay if they don't know right now. Mm-hmm. They don't need to know. We aren't even in the playoffs, by the way. Yeah. So we'll make our mark down the road and people will start to learn. And then they'll look foolish for not having known we know now. So, yeah. Congrats, Paolo. Play that full house, buddy.
All right, next is the quagmire, the unicorn, the bowler coaster, the Bol Bol train. It's been a while since that sucker took part and left the station, Pich.
Yeah.
I gave Bol Bol one blue cheese. One blue cheese. You go to a wing spot, you get maybe 10, 12 wings. They come, they give you one little container of blue cheese. It's not enough, Pich. You need at least 2 containers.
Yeah, you're right.
So I'm giving them the 1 out of 2 containers. All right. It got something done, but it wasn't quite enough for all my wings. So I'm left wanting.
Okay.
More blue cheese.
This is great. By the way, I love this. This is well done by you. This is excellent.
I knew you'd like this analogy.
Yeah,
You're an
good.
analogy man.
It's very good.
And, why am I left wanting? Because you see the flashes. There's some upside on offense. We've all been on the bowler coaster. We've all been on the Bol Bol train. But he is just a unique player in that he has the body of a big man, a defensive stopper. He can block shots. He can alter shots. But the majority of his game is on the perimeter. Mm-hmm. He likes to shoot. He likes to handle the ball. He's really good in open space, of course. But it's very difficult to hide him on defense. He's looked lost at times in some of our offensive sets, not contributing in the way that he can. I'm still having a good experience at the restaurant. The wings are good. I know I only had one blue cheese. I had to ask the manager. She politely apologized. She came back right away with another.
Oh,
so I'm going to stick around. I'm going to come to the restaurant again.
Right. See, I just usually ration. And I use less on each wing than I'd like to make sure that I only use what I've been given.
But I want more wing. Right. I want more Bol Bol. Wing.
Right.
Okay.
I can't believe I have to follow this blue cheese thing. I don't think I can do it.
But yeah, so I am going to come back to the restaurant. I'm willing to have Bol get maybe that last seat on the bench and stick with the team for one more year. There's the option.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling satisfied with that.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm giving Bol 10 extra credit points. Stick with me here.
Okay.
Because I think we've all taken that exam, right? Where like you're going through it, you're like, I'm going to have to come back to that one. I don't know that one. Right. And then you see that extra credit question, and you're like, ooh, I got this. And you nail the shit out of that extra credit. And you're like, yeah, man, that's good 10 points right there. And then you kind of look back and you're like, yeah, I don't know all those other ones. So, but if I get this extra 10, I could probably still get a 75. I
don't need it anymore.
I'll be all right.
Yeah.
And that's Bol was extra credit, right? This was not a guy that we expected to, we didn't pay a lot to get him. He kind of just came in, but man, what a benefit he was. And in particular to my fantasy team, when you and I split up the teams, as you'll see later, the difference, honestly, in my win is picking up Bol Bol.
Okay.
Because he put in a lot of points. He led us in block shots. Mm-hmm. He could do a lot of things out there in a like Swiss Army knife kind of way. Not always doing everything super well, right? Yeah. Like you wouldn't use a Swiss Army knife to want to cut down a tree, but you could probably do it if you hacked at it for a while. Bol just, there's something there, right? There's a lot of tools in that little knife that you can pull out. So I want to see more, and I want to see how he can better fit with the team. I think his defense should be great. And in certain aspects it is, everyone fears Bol on the 3-point line when you see him coming at you, because it's hard to judge. That arm is not a normal arm, right? Like you're not ready to, that's tough to prepare for, but he's easily blown by out on the perimeter, which is where he likes to play. He is a guard in his dad's body, as I've said before, and he needs to find a way to make that work so he can be a legit NBA player. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, if I've got a big project to do and I go see what's in that tool bag, I like what I see.
Yeah.
I just think they need to be used a little bit better. It'd be like if I handed you the tools, what kind of house are you going to build? Maybe not as good as our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. He was a carpenter. And from what I understand, a very good one. I don't know. They don't talk about his carpentry work. It doesn't really come up that much.
What if he was just mediocre?
He could have been. Could have been just average. He could have been like 3 out of 5 stars. Right? Like made a decent shelf, but couldn't really hang a door.
Jesus' carpentry and contracting.
Right.
3 out of 5 on
you. Never hear about that part. We talked about Jesus in a time that wasn't with J.I., so you didn't think we could do it, but we did.
Yeah, I guess the offseason is going to be big for me with Bol. It's like, will he develop more of an ability to guard perimeter players, which would make him on the floor more for me. Yep. Increases his outside shooting percentage, which would keep him on the floor for me. Or honestly, what I hope a little bit more, just improve his body control as a big down low. Because he doesn't have the LBs to like bang up with larger bigs, but the game nowadays is about positioning. Yep. And if he can kind of figure out where to position his big body and setting screens and not being too wide, which is really difficult for him. But, if he can work on those things and then be around the paint a little bit more to block more shots, contest more things, then that's a Bol Bol I want to have on the team moving forward. Mm.
Yeah. One thing we didn't mention in there is that he needs to learn how to set a pick.
Yeah.
He is very skinny,
It's tough for him.
And it's tough, but he needs to learn how to set a pick, because then he has some value in that outer rim game where he can like pick and pop and hit a three because he can shoot, and he could pick and roll because he's very good at finger rolls and around the basket. He has a very great touch around the basket is very tough to teach. That's something that's just innate. Yeah. So yeah, I think he needs to learn some of the body control stuff, like you're saying, that like make him a more effective player. Now, I'm not sure if that happens with us or ever, but it's not a big deal to try it and give it.
Should we get him like shoulder pads so that he can set wider screens? Like if he was wearing like a shoulder pad that went out like a few inches on either side, would they probably wouldn't allow that?
Just get him like a woman's jacket from the 80s where they were wearing those big pads.
Yeah, dude.
That's our new uniform. That's the rebrand. Everyone wears suit coats with big shoulder pads.
I was gonna make a point about Bol. Oh, the thing is, right? He might need to go somewhere where he can be on the court in games more. Like
I think that's
the only problem here.
He needs to have a really good summer with our squad, and they need to figure out a way to use him and have him get reps.
Right.
Because he's not going to get any better without in-game reps, I don't think. So have a good summer, find a way to use him, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we're going to, because we have so many other guys in our core that can take minutes. So it may not be with us, but
Pich and I are split. We're not really sure. We're getting one blue cheese and some extra credit. What do you think about Bol Bol? Let us know in the comments.
Did you give him blue cheese and extra credit? I doubt it.
All right. Next up, we have the versatile enforcer, Wendell Carter Jr. Why don't you go first on this one, Pich? I'm curious to have what you have to say about our boy WCJ.
I've given Wendell a satisfactory grade.
Okay.
I can't pump him up too much because rebounds are down, and that's what I want to see more of.
Hashtag big man shit. Points
are up, which is great. But I there's some certain games where he disappeared that really made me concerned. He's got to be at least a 10 and 10 guy every night, and there were several nights where he was not. And when he is disappearing out there because a bigger guy is pushing him around, it hurts us big time. It throws off the whole flow of our offense, and he seems to lose his confidence early. Like if he doesn't hit a few shots early, sometimes it's just like, well, it's going to be a bad Wendell game. So I mean, you look at the numbers, 8.8 on the rebounds. That's pretty close to 10. In the 15 points, you like it. It's satisfactory. It's not. It's not gold star.
Yeah.
But it's not see me after class. It's just you did what we asked you to do, pretty much. And I just can't give him the flowers that I'd like to, because I just feel like I saw mostly what I saw last year with improved shooting.
Yeah, it was tough. I also have the same critique with the rebounds down from 10.5 last year to now. I lost it, of course, from 10.5 to 8.7.
Oh, 8.7.
Yeah. So, and that's troubling. You're right. I agree. He does struggle with some of the larger bigs. But the versatility I think he brings on defense, he does have some switchability more than most centers in the league in terms of switching on to guards or smaller players.
For sure.
He handled himself well out there on the perimeter this year, and I do want to applaud him for that, sir. Yeah, I gave the Bulls 2 thumbs up on this one.
Okay.
So it was, I looked at the whole WCJ package, what he's bringing, and maybe this isn't just for the year. This is just WCJ as the player on the team right now moving forward. Because although the rebounding went down, we got Paolo Banchero, who, we've talked about, and that man can rebound the basketball better than I thought, generally, so he's stealing some of those boards. You got Cole Anthony in there, pesky, but you're right.
That's a good point.
That's why I'm giving this to the Bulls right now. I think we have 4 years, $50 million contract, 3 more years on that, and it's a descending deal down to $10 million a year. 3 seasons from now.
I mean, if you're factoring in that contract, I feel bad giving it satisfactory.
No,
because that is more than most people are going to get from that type of contract. So, but I'm trying to just look at it from his overall base of work. But
and the expectations you have for WCJ, because I think you believe in WCJ and how good he can be.
Yes. Other than the fact that he went to Duke, I'm trying to live vicariously through him. We have similar games. We like to be bespectacled and protect our corneas.
It was a very good season. It wasn't quite, and we're going to probably touch on this. I had, maybe built up WCJ to be a little bit more than came through and delivered. I think we're going to talk about that.
We are going to talk about that.
I chose him, I believe, as the highest scorer on the team this year. Or no, maybe Franz. I'm not sure. But like talking about this guy at the end of last year, I think I was getting a little giddy about it, saying 20 and 10.
Yeah, we thought he could be our first all-star. And
right.
Maybe we set the expectations too high.
Yes. But with all that being said, he did increase his efficiency across the board. Most notably, his three-point shot is up to 36%, and he's taken about 4 of those a game, which is another half of an attempt increase from last year. So if those keep falling, that's been dangerous. It makes the team really dynamic on offense, creates space for Paolo, Franz, anyone who wants to work, Markel to work in the paint, and you have to respect WCJ at the line more and more. I mean, if that ticks up again, wow, he is dangerous. I know we want some more big man shit down low. Getting those boards, WCJ. We know it. Just go beast mode on them. But I love what we have in WCJ moving forward here.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think at this point we expect him to be our all-star or our leading scorer. Mm-hmm. He is a third or fourth option, and he's doing that well.
A dependable third or fourth option,
and
right
he's
now
doing
on
it.
offense.
So.
Yeah. And everyone talks about his, how good he is on defense in terms of his positioning. He gives up some height, but he's very good.
Yeah, if he was a little taller, he would be able to guard those bigs a lot of times. But most of the time, they can just shoot over him. So it's
tough.
A little bit of a mismatch sometimes, which stinks. But
all right,
is what it is.
Let us know, where are you on WCJ? Put it in the comments. Now, Captain, my captain, our fearless leader, number 20, right here on the shirt, Markel Fultz. I'm just going to say I gave this man an A.
Okay.
I gave this man a straight up A. He's averaging career highs in points, assists, rebounds, steals, field goal percentage. His effective field goal percentage, which again incorporates the three-point shot, has increased every year. He's up to over 53% this year. He's in the top 10% in the league in terms of assist percentage. He assisted on nearly 30% of the Orlando Magic made shots, almost a third. So that's just the impact. You saw what it was on the floor. When we came back, it was just around that 5 and 20 mark. We went around 500, a little over since he came back. That's a huge margin. I wonder what statistic that would be. The plus the WAR, isn't that the WAR exists in other sports? Does that agree? Wins above replacement?
Yeah.
I wonder if that must exist in the NBA. Someone help us out. Put that in the comments.
It's got to.
What's his WAR? Because I mean, you see it in the data there. 5 and 20. What we finished. It's got to be a pretty big WAR, if I'm guessing.
I'm surprised you didn't look that fact up.
I'm a little disappointed in myself.
That stat is a little bit borderline matter.
Yeah,
honestly.
Well, maybe why don't you give him some love? Let me know what did you grade him, and I'll look that ditty up.
Well, I wrote down an 11 out of 10.
You turned it up.
Yeah, I mean he's 20 pounds of good in a 5-pound bag, and he's letting people know that he's coming to be a name. You have to be like, oh yeah, that guy, right? Like, he's not a bust anymore. Like, if you're one of those people that still hasn't caught up on your Markel Fultz, then you're probably not a Magic fan, because all of us know. We're like, this guy is the straw that stirs the drink. And it was seen by when he came back, and he's our floor leader, and he can do so much. And if he makes a mistake, he seems to then recover and get the ball right back. So, like, even his turnovers seem to kind of offset themselves. We talked about it at one point during the year about how he was a positive player in the possessions.
Yes.
And that's something that a lot of teams overlook maybe. But if you have a guy on the court that's getting you more possessions than he's costing you, well, that's what you need out of your
That's a winning player.
That's a winning player.
Yeah.
So I love it for Markel because he's had a long road and injury issues and had a hard time staying on the court. And this year, he played most of the year consecutively, even though Dante tried to get him out at the end with a little jinx towards the end of the season about playing, 57 games in a row or something?
Yeah, that was bad.
But, Kel is showing that he's here to stay. He has to be taken seriously. And if he can continue to play that, if he plays that way from day one next year, it will be hard to keep this guy off an all-star team.
I agree. I think he's the key cog on the squad. In his exit interviews, they asked him, what are you working on, next? When asked about how much the 3-point shot is going to factor in moving forward, and he was very reflective about understanding that's a barrier for him, but not a barrier in terms of skill. He feels confident he can knock the shot down. Mm-hmm. It was more a barrier of habit, and that's kind of what I love. He's like, yeah, I get to the paint. I just have a nose to get to my mid-range, get to the paint, distribute the ball, but I'm realizing that I just have to, with reps, kind of work around that habit and realize that I can pull up, I can shoot from here and keep doing it. So I love that answer because him getting to the paint does so much for us. I don't want you to fight that habit too hard, Markel. Don't go too hard on that habit. We love it. But a good habit.
He's going to be a good 3-point shooter, that's what we need. So it'd be interesting to know
everyone, we were talking about how the shot release at the end of the season looked exactly the same as the mid-range, coming off real Purdy-like. And so he has the confidence to knock it down. He can do it.
He has not played a lot of games consecutively to the point where, I know he was drafted in, 2017? Yeah. But he hasn't been on the floor long enough to really get the reps. So, he's been in the NBA that long, but with the amount of time he's missed, he's still got some rookie vibes, or sophomore vibes or junior vibes. So if he can continue to get better,
yes,
he's not done. He's not just trying to get back to where he was. He's trying to go over that. Mm-hmm. And this guy was a number 1 pick for a reason. He had truly had something. People saw it. And now we're seeing it here at the NBA level, and there's room for him to grow in the NBA to do even more. So, yeah, it's aces for me for Markel Fultz. Just a great year. And if he does it again next year with everything that we've got going on, sky's the limit for this guy.
Yeah. The 3-point percentage, I was looking it up, 38%. I'm sorry, 31.2%. I wish it was 38%. But that is an increase. Has been increasing every single year. So I believe in that consistency. And more than anything, when I think Coach Mosley was asked about Markel, he talked about the joy, the passion that he brought to this team, that he invigorated the squad with, and the level of confidence that he had that kind of disseminated throughout this young squad when he came back onto the floor. He really pushes this group to get better. I think, I'm so happy to have him as one of the leaders bringing that competitive edge. And you see it just playing out. And anytime he has a turnover, that competitive edge kicks in. And he won't allow it.
So now a lot of guys, if they get blocked or the ball gets stolen from them, will then go back and make a dumb foul trying to get the ball back.
Yeah.
He doesn't do that.
No.
He just gets it back or makes them make a mistake.
Yeah, and I'm curious because I'm drinking the Markel Fultz Kool-Aid. How is everyone feeling out there? The opinion is split a little bit in the Magic community at times, I find. Just because of the 3-point shot. Some people feel like you need a point guard to be able to have a 3-point shot, in upwards high 30s, someone that is a threat from there. We'll see. Do you think Markel Fultz can be that? Or is his game stay the same and he's still starting point guard no matter what for you? Questions.
I couldn't imagine people not being on board with Markel Fultz, but you're right. There are some people out there who are doubters who think he needs to be changed out. And I say, I don't know what more you really want. So, what's your problem?
Okay, well, let's continue on the guards here because next in the alphabet is Mr. Gary Harris.
Mm-hmm. Gary Harris, I've given him 3 out of 5 stars.
Okay.
He's the guy in our starting lineup that won't be in the starting lineup next year. I think that whoever we draft is probably going in that spot. He just saw a big downturn from last year. I know he played some less games, but he had no scoring pop this year. His defense was still there, but his scoring pop just fell away. You'd look at our stats at the end of the game and you see all of our starters in double figures. Gary Harris, 3, 4, 5. It's we need some more scoring out of that.
Starting 2 guard.
But he's supposed to be a 3-and-D guy, but he just wasn't really shooting the 3-ball this year. And it just, I don't know. It was weird because, and then a lot of times down the stretch, he wouldn't be in the game at the end of the game because we would go with Suggs or Cole or whoever was hitting or change it up. And I kind of felt like they should have put Suggs in that starting spot towards the end of the season. just so you can get some reps in there and let him see what he can do. I'm not so sure what Gary's contract is or if he's coming or going, but
it's a team option.
He seems like the kind of guy that may not be back with us next year.
Yeah.
But he's still a very good defensive player, and I think he's a better offensive player than that. But, with the lack of games he was in, maybe he didn't get enough rhythm. I don't know. I was shocked to see that he only played 48 games, but he did start 42 of them. So he was getting minutes and just not really delivering in that department. So
it's a B+ for me. It's a B+ for me for Gary Harris. I think he met my expectations, but now the expectations are higher.
That's good.
Like last year, he was just sitting in the corner, making some shots. That's all we really needed him for. We've elevated the team. Now we're looking for some playmaking off the dribble from that 2 guard. We're looking for a little bit more, dynamic play from Gary, and he might be able to be that. It's just one more year, non-guaranteed, $13 million. So, he's a veteran. He's making a good amount of money, but we certainly have the space if we want to bring him back. And if we're going to just kind of run this team back in itself, if that's the front office decision, then it might make sense to just pick that up, have him in the locker room. Yeah, I think Jalen will probably usurp him as the starting guard, or the starting 2 guard.
Yeah. He's going to have to accept more of a bench role, I think, if he stays on.
It seems like he's cool with that. I mean, his usage went down, as you might expect this year, to only 11% of the possessions where he was ending them, down from 15%, 20%. His usage has gone down and down here in Orlando, and you haven't ever heard of him, making a muck or talking about his role. Anytime you hear Gary Harris talks, he seems to love the team, the coach. Like he seems very happy. So if he's going to be around, I still dig having him on the squad. Even
is
though
somebody else going to give him more than 13 mil next year? Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. And it's still a very tradable contract. If at the end, halfway through the year, I think we're a competing team, so I don't know where else you would want to go if you're trying to get a championship or anything, but he could be a piece.
Well, he may
move.
not be getting minutes.
Yeah, that's true. Could be a minutes thing. You're absolutely right. His points went down, but his efficiency, if I'm looking at it here, his effective field goal percentage went up, and talking about his 3-point percentage went up this year. So he's just getting less bites of the apple. The team isn't running sets for Gary Harris, which may be partly our offense. We want to feature other guys, or maybe it's just partly Gary Harris's skill set. He doesn't have some of those things. We've seen him running off screens. I think he can be more for this team, but will he need to be, or, I
mean, we don't really ask a lot of him. He's the 5th option out there, but it's just weird to get like that little out of your starting shooting guard.
Yeah.
I mean, for a
22-win
team, it's fine, but for where we're trying to go, it's not.
Need more production.
So,
but you got to have some guys in there not scoring the ball when you got Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner.
No, everyone can score.
All right. Now that I've learned that everyone can score in basketball, let's move on to a guy who didn't do much of it, Caleb Houston. I just give him meh. That's my rating, meh.
Meh.
It's 2 hands, just, I don't know.
Yep.
Meh. They're not, they could form into a thumb maybe at some point, but they're just meh right now.
Right.
He's on this 4-year contract, $8 million a year, but year 3 is non-guaranteed, and year 4 is a club option. So really, it's next year, next season, and then Caleb could be parting ways. Young man, shooting 33% from 3. That's the skill that he's going to bring. Saw he can be a solid team defender, but never really pops off as an on-ball defender with that type of skill set. He is sneaky with motion off the ball, which you got to love.
Yep.
But again, there was only a couple times when he would pop. It's going to be, I'm meh on this because I just don't see him. I don't see him cracking these very rare lineup spots that we're going to have now and getting on the floor. And that's the biggest thing. How are these guys going to get on the floor? If you're going to get a good rating from me, it's going to mean because you're going to be fighting for minutes. And right now, Caleb is just kind of, meh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't see it happening.
I wrote down see me after class.
Oh, that's never a good thing.
Well, it doesn't seem like a good thing if you're the student and you get it, but it does mean that the teacher cares about you enough to try to figure out this issue. They're not just giving you an F and throwing you back into the system. Correct?
Yeah, you're right. No, and I definitely keep students sometimes and give them positive feedback. So let me retract that statement.
So, I mean, that's what I want to do. I want to sit them down and just be like, hey, man, a lot of guys have trouble shooting the long ball when they make the adjustment from college to the pros. You know, you're here on a decent contract. You're going to work on this over the summer, and hopefully you can become the shooting,
threat that we
need.
Yeah.
He wasn't it this year. He was very meh, as you said to me when I'd see him on the court. He wasn't spectacular on defense. He wasn't impressing me on offense. Those are the two things in basketball. I mean, he wasn't awful.
No.
But he wasn't standing out either. He wasn't being like, oh, who was that? Caleb Houston. All right, buddy. You know, like he needs to maybe just get more reps. I know he played well when he played down with Lakeland.
That's true.
Osceola
now.
And I think having an off season with our team, we'll be able to have him work on his 3-point shooting a little bit. And because like you said, he is pretty decent on motion, like going to find himself. But he's not a reliable 3-point shooter, so we're not really adding that to our offensive attack right now. But if he becomes a better 3-point shooter, that will demand that we add him as that off the bench, which I think is probably the ceiling he should be looking for next year, is to try to be a bench guy that could come in and get like 15 minutes a game and be a reliable 3-point shooter off the bench. But there's still time for him. First season, 20 years old.
Yeah. 6'8". I mean, you love the size because he can guard the wing position. 34% from three in your rookie year isn't bad.
Yep.
So, I mean, if you can get that up to like 37, 38% and working on it, he didn't get a lot of attempts, 2.7 a game. He's scoring 3.8 points, but there could be something there. You know, I think he seems, again, to have the right mentality. Jeff and John have done a really good job bringing in young men who seem really driven and focused. As you say, if he lives in the gym this summer, who knows? Who knows? He could make an argument for some time. I just don't know exactly where it's coming from.
I mean, remember some of the great 3-point shooters from college. JJ Redick is one. He did not make. He was not good his first few seasons. It took him a while to dial in. And I see that when I see Caleb Houston. So I feel like it's too early to put a definitive grade down there yet.
Speaking of someone who's not getting a grade, Jonathan Isaac, I am not talking about injured players. Pish, I abdicate my time to the gentleman from Vermont.
Yeah, I wrote down incomplete. You haven't shown us that you can do anything, so this is an incomplete. You're going to have to repeat the grade. At this point, we might expel him.
Yeah,
I'm kind of leaning that way.
One strike left.
Like, I'm not telling him to see me after class because I don't really feel like having a pep talk with him. Like,
you've given him so many.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, you've done all you can for this child.
Yeah, now leave me alone. Go be somebody else's problem.
Damn, ain't that how it works? All right.
Moving on.
Are we too hard? Do you have something to say about Jonathan Isaac? You can leave it in the comments. All right.
Yeah, the games he played well. He definitely has a nose for defense. That is reason to give you excitement.
It's a natural gift.
Bottom line, I don't care if you have Michael Jordan gifts. If you can't stay on the court, Zion Williamson, another one. Like, I don't even know if he's good. I feel like I've seen him play 2 or 3 games in my life. Like, he never plays. So at some point, the guys have to play.
The greatest ability is availability.
Yes.
All right, let's go on to a man who unfortunately wasn't available for much of the year. Chuma Okeke, the player formerly known as Okiki. I'm giving him a farewell package. I'm Court Cousins, we do the prize pack giveaways. Pish, you kind of normally headline those. You take those, you put some thought and energy into them. It's very nice. I mean, if we ever do a prize package, you want to get involved because Pish takes some time on these things. He's selecting the Magic players, both current and former, for the cards, stickers, there's shirts, hats. I mean, you're doing a good little German flags, you know? It's very nice. It's a nice package that I'm giving Chuma. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
But it is a farewell package. And this is very sad. This is sad for me. I've had many a conversation, especially shout out to Yachty out there. I've been a Chuma stan. I think that you can look back in the early episodes and catch a lot of Chuma love coming from this guy right here.
Yep.
Myself.
Yep.
So this is with a heavy heart that I do this. We exercised the team option for next year, so he is making $5.2 million next year.
Oh,
Yeah. And then he's a restricted free agent in the summer following. So we'll have an option to either re-sign or allow him to go into free agency. I imagine if things don't change, he goes into free agency. He's been kind of on the decline really since his rookie year almost, although last year it was all right. He averaged 4.7 points this year on 56% effective field goal percentage, 30% from three, which was his lowest mark yet. And that number has been going down since his rookie year where he shot nearly 35%. So I'm just seeing some regression, not seeing the pop in Chuma that we used to see, the off the ball, the tenacity. He doesn't seem to have that dog in him when he's out on the court that you could see come out from time to time. Everyone loves him in the locker room, funniest guy on the team, but we're going to miss him. I just don't see him around. So here's your farewell package, sir. I'm going to miss you, Chuma.
Yeah, I wrote down that he played 27 games, so he didn't really get to do a lot. But yeah, he has nothing. He has nothing to offer offensively. Last year there were some times where as part of the bench unit, he was key, right?
Yeah.
He would shoot the three. Mm-hmm. He was extending the defenses, and he was doing that. Bench unit was hot for a while, and he was a big part of it.
And he'd be on the court at the end of the game.
Yeah, sometimes he would because his defense was that good.
Yep.
That I could warrant him being out there, but. This year, yeah, definitely a big step up or a step down. And I know that he didn't play a ton of games, but even when he came back, I thought Mose was going to mix him right back in the lineup, and I'm kind of glad he didn't.
Yeah.
But, like, why didn't he? You know, that was very telling to me. Like, he didn't find a spot for him in there.
Maybe there's something there. Maybe it's more of, he's not 100%. I don't know, but you're right. He didn't really even crack the lineup when he was available.
No, and to me, that's not a great sign of your future here. So I think Coach Mose is helping kind of prepare him with the farewell package you're putting together.
A gentleman who has done quite the opposite, and his play is really earning him upward and onward, is that guy Jalen Suggs, who I am bestowing 4 out of 5 loons upon. All right, 4 out of 5 loons. I'm going to put them up on the screen right now so you can see them, because you're probably like, what is that if you were me? It's the Minnesota State bird, ladies and gentlemen. And
also
as we
appears
know,
on the coins of Canada.
Oh, this is true. Is that the dollar? Oh, it's $1, right? A loonie?
I think it's maybe the $2.
Oh.
No. It's the one. It's the one.
You Canadians out there getting freaky with your $2 coins. Love Canada. So our beloved Minnesotan, Jalen Suggs, I mean, he talked about in his exit interviews just trying to find his way back into the team in terms of the consistency of minutes and getting reps with consistent guys, and how important that's been for him now getting towards the end of the year. And Coach Mosley echoed that in his exit interview, talking about just both physically and mentally, the consistency and health for Jalen Suggs have been the most important thing. His points went down, but so did his usage. He wasn't featured as much as he was last year, so that's kind of to be expected. But what went up was all his other efficiency metrics, and turnovers were down. So that was my biggest worry for Jalen moving forward, is when we were kind of forcing him into that point guard role last year, there were some, head scratchers, some turnovers where he was out of control, just kind of seemed to be moving faster than his mind. And that is down. We're not seeing that as much anymore. We're seeing him kind of settle in to what appears to be a better role for him, which is a 2-guard, but a playmaking 2-guard. He can still do things off the dribble. So that time as point guard may really help his development long term. But yeah, effective field goal percentage up to nearly 50% from 3, which was, last year, don't tell anyone, 21.4% last year. We're not going to talk about that. And this year from 3, 32.7, like 33%,
Better.
Yeah. So like that's getting solid, and the shot looks good. Like I'm confident in the shot. His base looks square. It all looks good coming out. So I'm thinking that's going to continue to improve. And what he brings on defense. So he's getting 4 out of 5 loons from me.
I've given him a B+.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what, I want to give him an A, But I want to tell Jalen Suggs I'm giving him a B+, because that is going to motivate the shit out of him.
You do this.
Yes. He's going to be like, B+. Give me the ball. Give me my shoes. I'm getting B+. You know, he's going to be mad.
Yeah.
And I want that, because I like it when he gets fire and he does that. Obviously,
he's a bad motherfucker.
Last year he played 48 games. This year 53, so only 5 more. Definitely love to see him out there healthy a lot more. But he's improving. He's getting better. I think he's one of the players that's making that transition from the 3-ball with college, like we talked about with Caleb Houston, where now he just looks more comfortable with it. So that's great. And I see him going up. The only thing that it does concern me for Jalen Suggs is depending on who we add in the offseason.
Yep.
I'm not sure what minutes Suggs is going to get. So if he doesn't get enough minutes, is he going to improve or just stay the same? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Depending on what picks we get, that's what it will come down to. If we are in the range that we think we were going to be, there's a lot of like wings and guards, or a lot of guards really too. I just can't see any of these rookie guards coming in and supplanting Jalen Suggs for minutes right now.
Maybe not on opening day, but maybe down the road.
Maybe.
But he definitely has the chance. He's earned it to be a name that has to be in the rotation. His defense is too good to warrant not being in there. And as long as he keeps making the most of it, he'll force Mosley to keep him on the court more. But he needs to stay healthy to be a consistent part of the rotation, because all these times he comes and goes out, feels like we have to try to wedge him back into the rotation. And there's always a little bit of weirdness at that time. But I loved what I saw, and honestly, it'd probably be an A- if I wasn't trying to motivate him. So, Jalen Suggs, B+.
It is now on to the Wunderkind. Franz Wagner should have put on the wig for this one. Put on Gunther and what's my name? What's my German court cousin's name?
Gunther.
I'm Gunther.
Yep.
And you're
Uwe.
Uwe, that's right. Uwe Blub. So I gave Franz 5 out of 5 steins of brew.
Okay.
Of beer.
Yep.
Beer. Because there are more types of beer in Germany than anywhere in the world. Is that a real fact? It is now. You heard it on Court Cousins. I mean, you can't say enough about the German sensation, the Wunderkid. He went up in points and assists this year, and he went up in efficiency in all of his markers. His non-corner threes, which is a shot that he really likes. He likes it at the top of the arc of that three-point shot, went up to 36%, that top of the curve 3, which he really likes. We've seen that step back, come in more and more. Haven't seen the Dirk as much as we like, but he's got the Euro step, both hands off the glass. He always is finishing around the rim. It's just, it's only good things for me from Franz Wagner. I can't say enough good stuff about this gentleman.
Yeah, agreed. I wrote 2. I know you did this one earlier for somebody else, but I did 2 thumbs up for Franz. A lot of guys have a sophomore slump. Yeah. Not so with Franz.
Nope.
He excelled and got better. I think that happens with a lot of European players, honestly. It seems like they don't have that sophomore slump quite as much. It seems like they always get better in their second or third year. I don't know if that's because of the way they play ball growing up or
played
what.
Pros
they played pro before, so it's not as crazy to them. But yeah, it was definitely great that he didn't take any kind of step back. He definitely emerged as one of our main men on offense. 18.6 from 15.2 is a great improvement in the second season, especially with the amount of points that Paolo's putting up. You could have seen his...
Right.
He could have easily had 15.2 again, and we wouldn't have maybe questioned it, because, other guys are raising their game. But here he is, stepping up, doing everything he needs to do, traveling.
No.
Even though it's called the Euro step.
No, he's
but
not.
He gets away with it, so it's all good. I want to see him form a relationship with the referees, who seem to give him absolutely no love.
Yeah.
It pisses me off. But sometimes European players, they whine and they get upset, and they don't get on the good side of the refs, and for some reason he's not on their good side. So he needs to have his assistant send those referees some flowers and chocolates, and just let them know that, hey, consider Franz Wagner for foul calls when I drive to the lane and go off glass, because I'm getting fouled.
Yeah, he's getting hacked all over. You can see it. He's pasty just like me, so he's like scratched up by the end of the game.
There's at least 2 times per game where he gets fouled. There's no call. He, of course, bitches about it. And they're not going to be like, oh, he bitched, we got to give him the foul call. They only do that for Bron. So he needs to up his status, make some all-star games.
Yes.
Before you start to get that kind of cred. But he needs to just zip it a little bit and realize that that stuff will come. Yeah. Paolo's getting it pretty early, which is probably part of why he's so frustrated. Here's a guy in his first season just getting all the calls, and I'm getting nothing. So maybe Paolo's taking too many calls, actually. Maybe they should split those a little bit and just make it more even, because Paolo's getting away with a lot. He has not fouled on a lot of those shots he takes. But
he just draws so much contact. I think as opposed to Franz, who's he's wiry. Like he'll move around the contact, and he does that well. Paolo kind of seeks the contact, which is a little different in the ways that they play, considering their stature is so similar, being 6'10" guys. As you say, Franz, here's a stat you'll hate. This is the percentage of a player's shot attempts he was fouled on. That's 11.3%. It's, still top half of the league, but it's low. It's very low.
It is top half of the league?
It's in the 66th percentile.
Okay.
So he's in, the 34th percentile in terms of drawing, how many of his shots draw fouls. But, his usage was down. But his usage was up this year, which is something that I hear a lot of fans, talking about. I want to see the ball in Franz's hands more. I want to see the ball in Franz's hands more.
Yeah.
The numbers show that he actually did. He had a higher usage by 3.5% this year.
Yeah.
So he did have the ball in his hand to end more possessions this year than last. Is 3.5%, 3.3% enough for Magic fans?
Right.
Sometimes we want a little bit more fourth quarter Franz.
There were definitely some times last year when we didn't have Paolo as an option, where it's like, why is the ball not touching? We need a bucket. Why is the ball not touching the hands of Franz Wagner at some point? Mm-hmm. Like they didn't run a play for him to be a decoy either. He just isn't part of the play, and that can't happen. But it didn't this year. So even with adding Paolo, it didn't diminish his usage. So that's fantastic, and that's why it's 2 thumbs up.
Do you think Franz is good enough in terms of him being next to Paolo? Are those two guys good enough for you in terms of being a 1 and 2 or a 1A, 1A, 1B for a championship run? If you see them developing into that, or to be at least a stalwart in the East for years to come?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think they are, but we need to have other good pieces around them, because I don't think Franz is going to be a 30 points a game scorer. Paolo could be.
Yeah,
but
with the foul drawing.
Yeah.
Unless Franz starts to get more.
I was going to say, and if he starts to get the fouls, then maybe. But, we've always kind of been a balanced attack team. So we want, a lot of guys to eat instead of just 1 or 2 to get over that hump. So, yeah, I think those are... They're 1 and 2 right now, and they've only played 2 seasons for Franz, 1 for Paolo. So it's hard for me to give my 100% concrete stamp lock. But
that's the fun thing about young players.
They look good.
Yeah, they're just on the upswing right now. We don't know when it's going to kind of find level. When is the exponential growth? When's the growth going to kind of stop? And they're like, this is my ceiling. This is the NBA player that I am, and this is what I'm going to be.
I mean, Paolo could regress in his second season.
That's a possibility.
And we could have some rookie that comes in that lights it up as a new shooting guard. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. But about the mindset, I feel like I do know. I feel like there's no way that Paolo doesn't get better.
Yeah. I mean, you'd like to think so. And basically your question was, do you think these 2 guys can be the top 2 guys on a team that's going to be a stalwart in the East? And I say yes. Mm-hmm. They're 2 guys that people want to come in and play with. They see what we're building here, and that's what you need. And they're durable.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Franz played 79 games last year, played 80 this year. He would have played more last year, except they pulled him off the court. So
I was not happy about that.
I love his durability.
Yep.
I know it's important to him to be out there.
Yeah. Paolo missed a stint, but he seems like he can be able to hold up.
Yeah.
The last of the players and the second of the Wagners.
All right, let me go first here because I see you've got a number up, so I need you to readjust this number.
Okay.
So grades in Germany actually go from 1 to 6.
Okay.
And 1 is like an A, all the way down to like 5s and 6 are failing and they're no good. So I've given Moritz a 1 in attitude.
Okay.
I've given him a 2 in skill.
Okay.
And I've given him a 3 in consistency.
Got it.
Wow. I know it's 3 different grades, but with a man who comes on the court and sometimes is just doesn't play, but sometimes comes in and scores 20 points easily and is dunking on people and is a factor, he's all over the place. He's a roller coaster of a human. But I like what I see when he gets minutes and he plays, unless he's just trying to get in be a burr in somebody's bonnet for no reason. And sometimes he lets that distract him from doing his thing. But if he came in with consistency on the attitude and skill that I know he has, he would be in our regular rotation without a question. Mm-hmm. But we had a lot of guys we were trying to get a look at and see here and there, and I think that hurt his minutes. But it's hard to complain about what he's done when he's gotten them.
No, I would agree. I gave him 3.5. I got to keep it consistent with the brother. I'm not trying to have any type of, interkin feuding because of me. So I kept the same meter. I'm talking about steins of beer. And out of 5, I'm giving Moritz, come have 3.5 steins with me. You're kind of like, you're out. He's had 3. He's your buddy who can kind of get weird on the sauce. He's like, come on, man, let me have another. You're like, nah, dude, but here, take some out of my glass.
Oh, man.
That's the half.
Yeah, I don't
that's
think,
the half
I don't
that
think he's going to go for that.
Yeah, that's
he's going to be like, I only drink in full beers.
Yeah, in Das Boots. Only Das Boots. But I'm sorry, I'm giving him a 3.5. Talking about seeing players kind of get to their level, I think Moritz is kind of at his level. I think we kind of see the player that he's going to be. He's a tenacious, kind of gritty, down low player who can, step out and hit the 3 with some regularity. Nice shot fake and can get to the lane off the dribble. But I don't know how much more there is for Moritz in terms of his growth and his ceiling. So I think that the best bet is to keep the Wagners together, because that synergy they have when their powers combine, they make a really dynamic duo. I think the best version of Moritz Wagner is with Franz, and I think the best version of Franz Wagner is with Moritz. So I hope we can all raise our steins and drink as many beers as we'd like. Screw the out of 5. Because I'd like to have the Wagners around. And now
I agreed, yeah.
Mama Wagner is a fan of the show. She's a second cousin.
I keep there's certain guys that like I fear Moritz not being on our team at some point and being that guy on the other team that drops 25 on us.
Yeah.
Because he will.
He can.
He can.
And he holds a grudge.
Last year he was our leading scorer in like 12 games. It was bananas. He's capable.
Absolutely.
Hey, all right. So last year, episode 26, right before the season, we did a starter backup bench.
Yes.
Where we talked about who we thought our top scorer was going to be, who the most impactful defensive player was going to be, and we had a bunch of teams that had made the play-in the year before, and we talked about whether they were going to be play in, or played out.
Okay.
So this kind of makes sense to look back at this now and see how we did on that show.
Oh, yeah.
There's some good and some bad, but, I feel like for the most part, we were in the neighborhood.
Okay. How'd it go? Take us back in time, Pish.
So for the top scorer of the year, I took Paolo.
Yes, you nailed that.
As the starter. And then second, I went with Wendell. And then third, I went with Franz.
Yes.
This is part of the narrative we talked about earlier, where we really had high hopes for Wendell because you selected Wendell as your starter.
Top scorer, yeah.
For top scorer. And then Franz as second, which was correct.
Yes.
He did have an uptick, which you said in the show you thought he was going to take a leap forward. And then you had Cole as the bench guy, which, he had 13
Paulo
points
disrespect.
a game.
He was the untested rookie.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Oh, yeah.
I can defend
I
myself.
hadn't thought about that, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was hard to know exactly what you were going to get, but I think at that point we had seen Summer League, so I was kind of like, oh, yeah.
Maybe. I don't know if it was after Summer League. That's kind of on me, and that's my bad. My bad, Paulo. I didn't know how much of a G you was going to be. But I'm happy. Remember that hug I gave you earlier in the show?
Right.
We're boys.
Then when we talked about who the most impactful defensive player of the year would be, what's very interesting about this is the 3 gentlemen that we selected as options.
Yes.
It was J.I., Suggs, and Chuma.
Well, those are those can be very impactful defensive players. At the beginning of the year, Chuma was looking like it.
Sure.
And then Suggs came back, wasn't quite right. When J.I. came back, we're all thinking, whoa.
And we thought J.I. was going to be back at the beginning of the season at that point.
Right.
We kind of expected him to be back sooner.
Yeah.
So I went with Suggs as my starter. My backup was Chuma, and then bench was J.I.
So you nailed it then, in a way.
I guess so, yeah.
And I came out, I bet I put J.I. as my starter.
You had J.I. as the starter, and then Chuma, and then Suggs.
Wow.
On the bench.
Wow. See, I told you how much I've come on the Chuma train, man.
Exactly.
I just offered him a farewell package today. I still can't even believe myself. Thought this man was going to be our.
Sometimes you got to move on. That's what happens with Orlando Magic fans. Sometimes they fall in love with these guys.
Yeah,
I'm not going to name names, but there's too many guys that we've fallen in love with. Yeah. It's like they aren't them, so let them go.
Yeah,
we
wish them well though.
Yeah, wish them well.
Yeah,
it's not a negative thing. It's just like, hey, we're trying to win some NBA games here. We're sick of getting pushed around all the time and being in the lottery. Like we're trying to win championships.
Yeah.
So then the final thing we did in this segment was all the teams that had made the play-in. The 4 teams that had made the play-in tournament, which was the Cavs, Nets, Hawks, and Hornets in the East. And we talked about whether they were going to be in for sure next year, in the play-in again, or played out.
Okay.
And
interesting.
For the East, I went with the Cavs as in, which is correct.
Yes, that is correct.
And then I went with the Nets in the play-in, which they just missed it. They're at the 6th spot. But
they were in, though, so that's good that you had them there.
Yeah. And then I went with the Hawks and the Hornets played out. But the Hawks
are in there,
did make it. They make it through the play-in and made it through. But we both had the Hornets out completely because you had the Hornets out. Mm-hmm. You had the Hawks and Nets as your play-in, and you had the Cavs in as well. So we kind of knew the Cavs were on the uprise.
Okay.
And we kind of got that right, I feel.
Okay.
And you even said that you're like, well, the Nets are like a wild card because at the time Durant had asked for a trade.
Yeah.
So we were kind of expecting those guys to not be there, which did happen by the end of the season. But they had done so well up to that point that they hung on to that 6th seed and avoided the play-in. So we were pretty close.
Yeah. See, I get something right sometimes.
Then in the West, the teams were the Wolves, the Pelicans, the Clippers, and the Spurs that had made the play-in, which amazed me when I heard it because, as you all know, the Spurs stink. And we both put them on our played out.
The Spurs that we lost to, you mean?
Yeah. So we put the Spurs on the played out, and we were both correct on that one.
Yeah.
I went with the Clippers for play-in. Mm-hmm. You also had the Clippers at the play-in and also the Wolves.
Okay. They did get the play-in. They were in the play-in this year, right?
Yep. They were in the play-in, so you got that.
And I had the Pelicans as in.
And then you had the Pelicans as in. I had the Pelicans as in. And I also had the Wolves as in.
Well, yeah. I could see the Wolves. I thought I put the Wolves in, honestly. I was high on them last year. Didn't I have them?
I devalued the Clippers,
Memphis?
but you were big on the Clippers, I remember, at one point.
Well, you got Kawhi and Paul George, 2 great scorers, but
they ended up with like the 5th best record in the West, right? So
yeah.
They still had a good season.
Yep.
And we're going to talk about who we think is going to do well this season right now as we get into some bets. Eh?
Let's do it. So how do you want to lay this out? Can we go right into our brackets?
Well, no, we got to talk about the results from last time and then you'll play the shootout.
Okay.
And the belt will exchange hands.
Sounds good.
Like get rid of the old stuff first. So yeah, the bet results from last time, we had a minutes battle set up to see who would get more minutes down the stretch. Team Goga Bowl or Team Moritz and Caleb. You took Team Moritz and Caleb.
Yep.
And you lost 171 to 140. It was close. Things get wacky at the end of the season.
Goga carried for you, man. Because Bol didn't get many minutes.
Goga's a dog, man.
Yeah.
Bol played like 36 minutes or something in that last game, though.
Oh, okay.
So that last game really skewed these numbers for both of us.
Okay.
Then we had Markel Fultz to get 15 points. I took the over and lost. Fultz only averaged 12 points in the few games that he played.
Yeah, it was only a couple games.
These guys not playing is really what I think really kind of hurt some of these numbers.
Definitely.
Then we had Cole points, also set at 15. Kyle took the over and won. Cole averaged 15.333 repeating.
That-a-way, Cole.
Just barely getting it done.
That-a-way, Cole.
And then Paolo, 20-point games. You set the line pretty high at 3.5. I thought he was going to finish the year strong, but he played.
He did.
He had one 20-point game and then didn't play anymore.
Right.
So I was out on that one. And then our fantasy teams.
This is big. This is from the beginning of the year, right?
Yeah, we did a fantasy draft of all the players on our team. And here are the results.
Look at Pich getting all this data.
I did lots of math.
All these maths.
I mean, to be fair
to you, buddy.
To be fair, I set up algorithms in here and so I could plug the numbers in and it would do all the math for me.
Right. Just made it a
regardless,
software.
We put it together. And I included the stats for guys like RJ Hampton and Terrence Ross on their new teams. It was we got this guy for the season.
Okay.
Right. So in the points department, Pich took that one. And again, this is in large part to Bol Bol, who I picked up as a late round pick here. And he produced some sick numbers. He also led the team in blocks. So I won the blocks, rebounds, and points stats. And you won the assist stats and the steal stats because you had Markel Fultz, Jalen Suggs, Gary Harris.
Yep.
So you could kind of see the way those teams are going. You had J.I. on your team, which I think kind of hurt you numbers-wise, like total-wise, just because he did not play a lot. But
again,
same can be said for, I mean, I had Chuma Okeke on my team. He did not play a lot of games this year. And RJ Hampton barely played for us.
Maybe you should think about a name switch back. Like a name switch back.
Oh, go back. Yeah.
It didn't go great.
No. A switchback could be Okeke. But so I won that 3-2, but that's still only one. You won 3 of the bets, and I only won 2 of the bets. So we're gonna do the shootout. You have selected. We will do
beer pong.
All right, we're back in the studio after that grueling affair. Your many years of college definitely helped you out in this game. That was a wise selection by you. I only have some college, so that's why I struggled.
That's the only thing I learned.
But also,
in
your advantage was the 2 cups, but you didn't really need it.
Didn't need it.
I think you won what, 4 to? I think I had 4 left at the end. So, well done, sir.
Hold on,
the belt is back to your side. And there it is.
Yeah. Those of you out there who doubted the red lettuce, this one is right for your face. All right. I love my doubters. I'll feed off my doubters. This puppy's going to stay here all summer long, Peach. You just have to look at it and just be jealous while I hang out with it and it's over my shoulder.
Well, we'll see about that. Our final bet for the summer, as of right now. Maybe we'll come up with some other ways to give this. Maybe we'll do a trivia or
spruce
something
it
like
up
that.
a little bit.
We'll do some other thing at some point. But the next one is going to be decided on who does the best with their predictions for the NBA bracket. So why don't we start in the East? Because I feel like the East is, by the way, looking pretty similar from both of us.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So in that first game, I've got Milwaukee in 4. I have them dog walking Miami. Miami, I can't even believe they got in watching some of those playing games. Wow.
Yeah.
Chicago,
I also have Milwaukee in a sweep there.
Okay. And then I've got Cleveland in 6. Now, to be fair, we've already watched the first game. It's already happened. The Knicks have already won one, but I think it's fool's gold. I think it's a wake-up call for Cleveland. I think they win the series.
I agree. I also have them in 6. I think I have them in 6 as well.
Yeah,
which could still happen, but the Knicks definitely showed some fight in game 1. But
that's the one you steal. That's the one the lesser opponent steals sometimes. Our Vucevic team, we went into Milwaukee and got one. We went into Toronto and got one, and then we didn't win again.
Right.
So I think that's a little bit of fool's gold.
Okay.
Philly in 4 over the Nets.
Ooh, 4. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I picked anybody else to win in 4. I'll go gentleman's sweep most of the time. So
I feel good about the Philadelphia 76ers right now, mainly because there hasn't been a lot of talk about them. And when a team's got their nose to the grindstone, there's normally not a lot of talk about them. They seem to just be doing their thing, and I like them. You'll see in just a moment. I got Boston in 5 over Atlanta.
Same. I figure Atlanta was wiry enough to steal one.
Yeah, maybe. They didn't get the first,
they lost the first game.
They didn't get the first one. So if you're going to steal one, I just don't see it happening now.
Yeah, it's all according to seed here in the East so far, 1 through 4. That's who we've got going through.
Yep.
So who you got the next round?
I got Milwaukee over Cleveland in 6, and I got Philadelphia over Boston in 6, which is surprising for me because Boston's my B team. There's just been too much drama around the squad lately. It doesn't seem like they're in unison I haven't watched them too much, so maybe I'm just reading too much into the public narrative.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It seems odd what's going on with Jaylen Brown. And I mean,
there's still a team that
time.
lost 3 times to the Orlando Magic, so I just don't think they're that good, honestly.
Okay.
A bunch of role players with 2 stars.
So did you pick the Sixers as well?
I picked the Sixers as well, but I think it'll be I think it'll be a 7-game series.
Okay.
I think this will be one of those ones where this is sort of like the Embiid breakout moment. They'll probably give him the MVP during this series,
which will help. I got that money on that.
So yeah, I've got Milwaukee taking on the Sixers in the Eastern Conference Finals, the same as you. Okay,
and then you have Milwaukee moving on to the championship?
I do. I feel like they've been the most consistent, dominant team in the East, not just because, they're my B team, as you like to say.
Yeah.
But I just think off a 7-game series fighting with Boston, I think the Sixers might run out of gas to be able to take Milwaukee out. They're capable, for sure. Yeah. But
seems what Chris Middleton can do. I know he hasn't been like the same scoring punch that he has been. I don't know if that's turned around yet.
Yeah, they have so many weapon options on that squad.
Their bench beat us multiple times. Yeah. So that's all I needed to see. I thought we should have beaten those teams handily, and then they turned around and did just that to us. So I'm a believer.
It's weird to look at the stats and see Milwaukee's number 1 in the East and the Celtics are number 2 because we just played so well against the Celtics and just couldn't beat like even the backups, like you say, of the Bucks. Like to me, that makes the Bucks far and away the best team. But the Sixers could just be on a magical run. You never know.
All right, let's go to the West.
To the West.
Got Denver over Minnesota, Phoenix over the Clippers, Golden State over Sacramento Kings. And Memphis over the Lakers.
Okay, we are 100% the same on that.
Really?
I really did want to pick the Lakers to beat Memphis.
I know. I thought you might.
I just can't do it. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
I want that to happen.
Yes,
but no.
So you were doing this with the noggin and not the heart.
I did the West a few times. Yeah, and I'm just still not loving the way it came out, to be honest.
And I want the upset for the Kings.
I do too. I do too. But I mean, sort of. I think the Kings are going to benefit from losing a first-round series.
They're just getting in, yeah.
Like they're in. They won that first game. That's great. But I think Golden State's veteran.
There's too much.
There's too much there.
Yeah.
It's a bad matchup in the first round for Sacramento. Like you're playing a team that's in state, that has all this experience coming off the championship last year. There couldn't be a worse first-round matchup for them. I think I'd pick them against almost anyone else.
Yeah. I got Denver over Phoenix in 6 and Golden State over Memphis in 6.
All right, well, that's where we differ because I have Phoenix over Denver.
Wow, okay. I think this is the year that Jokic and the boys get over the hump. Yeah, and at Phoenix is just coming together as a team, so they're not all the way there. And Denver comes out on top.
Yeah, Phoenix is one of those teams that can very easily let you down. They let a lot of people. They got off a lot of people's radar earlier in the season by doing numerous things, but they have a lot of star power there, and it's time for them to play. But to be fair, honestly, the Clippers could beat the Phoenix in the first round. That's why I didn't like putting them in the Western Conference Finals because it feels kind of coin tossy to me with the Clippers, and then I just don't believe that Denver is ready for primetime stuff.
Okay,
I just. I kind of would like to see it. I got nothing against Denver. I mean, other than the fact they think Aaron Gordon is good. But, I just don't think.
Still with the hate.
But they don't. They never seem to get over that hump. And it's so until they can prove it to me, I'm not going to put them in the Western Conference Finals. But this could be the year.
I think it's their year. And you had Golden State over Memphis as well?
I had Golden State over Memphis.
Okay.
I think that Golden State is going to be that burr in Memphis' side that they can't quite get through yet.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think this is Memphis's year.
The Bulls of our Magic.
Yeah, I just don't think this is their year yet to make that run to the finals. And obviously none of us want that because they're so arrogant and douchebaggy.
Yeah. I got Denver beating Golden State in the Western Conference Finals. I don't know if I love that. I just want it for Jokic a little bit because I think Embiid's going to win the MVP. Let this guy go to a championship. It's just hard to beat Golden State when they shoot so many damn threes. I don't love the matchup for Denver there because they don't shoot that many threes. So I don't honestly think that they're going to be able to. That one was kind of with my heart, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll see.
I went with Phoenix beating Golden State.
Oh,
I think that Golden State might run out of gas at that point.
okay. All right. That's interesting. So we have a very different.
So I have Milwaukee
final.
versus Phoenix, which I'm not feeling super confident about. I'm super confident the Bucks are going to win it all. That's what I have winning it.
I got them winning it too.
But like I said, I could see the Clippers beating Phoenix in the first round. So I do not love what I have done in the West.
I had them winning last year though too. I think the Bucks winning.
I think we had both picked the Bucks and Phoenix to meet
last year. Oh,
and that did not take place.
Okay.
So
Well,
last year there wasn't a
happens.
definitive winner. It looks like this year is going to come down to that Denver versus Phoenix second round.
Let us know. What's your bracket looking like? Who you got in the finals or other steps of the way? Be curious to see who people think are going to be the last team. Who's going to be the last team
Yeah, I'd be
standing.
interested to see who everybody thinks is going to be in like the Western Conference Finals, particularly.
Yeah.
In the Eastern Conference Finals, I mean that I feel like that's either Milwaukee and either Boston or Philly.
Yeah.
I'd be really shocked if there's anything about that.
Agreed.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know. So throw that down there. Comment.
The finish line is in sight, Pish, but don't you stop. You got to run all the way through the finish line. That's what they tell you. Stick around for the large ending. But again, we want to shout out all our all-stars and second cousins on the Patreon. Magic player history. It's not okay to say Okiki, Wiffle, Andy, Dylan, Drum, Raph, Breadhead, Al, Matthew Bell, Dan Young, Gloria and Damien, Cotter, and Yanni. Thanks so much for the support. If you can, buy us a beer. We're really close to that $200 milestone, which just means we give away more stuff. Like we gave away a jersey at the top of today's show. We'd also be giving away a prize package. So that's how that will work, something like that. So if you can help us meet that goal, we'd greatly appreciate it. Help improving the show. All right, Peach, you know what time it is, sir. Hit the music.
There it goes.
And you're up first.
Hey, the Rays were off to a hot start as of when we started this, 13-0. Do you care?
No, not really. I mean, it's cool. I like that some of our, second cousins are down in that Tampa area, so good on you, but
Right.
I don't care.
Yeah, you don't want to lead the season with 13 wins.
No, this is not the time to be hot right
You
now.
want to end the season.
Yeah.
Then talk to me.
Then it's something. Magic Johnson is in the group that's going to purchase the Washington Commanders. He also owns part of the Dodgers, the Sparks, the WNBA team, the LA Football Club, Major League Soccer. I know you're a big fan. And he did own part of the Lakers at one point. What pro sport will Magic Johnson own part of next?
Oh, that's a good question. It sounds like he might be missing out on the world of auto racing.
Yeah,
So
okay.
maybe he should take a look into something there.
Maybe
Magic Johnson NASCAR.
Formula.
He's going to start smaller.
Yeah. Okay.
NHL playoffs about to start. I'm pumped. Who you got?
Canadians, baby. Let's go Habs.
You know they're not in. That's just rude.
I have no idea, Beach.
That's rude.
The Mavs were fined $750K. This might go to Cousins Court, but I'll ask you now. For sitting most of their roster in a must-win game. Luka played 12 minutes, so that's negligible. Is that fair or unfair? What say you, Peach?
I have never heard of them finding any other teams for sitting guys at key moments, and I really don't understand why they would start doing it all of a sudden.
Just because it was so blatant, I think they needed to win the game, so it's clear that you were throwing it.
I don't like that teams do this, but no one else has ever been punished like this, so I don't understand why all of a sudden the Mavs are. But if this is going to set the precedent that we're going to do this now, I'm all right with it.
Okay, all right, cool, yeah.
Hey, listen, will Ferrari be more consistent with Vassar in charge this year?
I mean, they have to be with all the errors they had last year, Ferrari. But they're not off to a good start. They're in fourth, and they were picked to be in that top three, certainly. Aston Martin, behind some wizardry of Fernando Alonso, are up in second, I want to say.
Isn't he on the Mets?
Different Alonso.
Okay.
I'll ask this question to someone who actually knows something about hockey. Peach, it's the NHL playoffs. Who you got?
I've got the Stars. I've got the Dallas Stars winning.
Oh, okay.
I also have the Boston Bruins not winning.
Yeah, you
They
wanted
had
to
that
make sure you
record,
got that point.
the record-setting season, but they are going to fall in the playoffs, and it's going to be so much sweeter. So watch the Bruins lose and always root against them. I had to Google that F1 question, by the way. I actually Googled, what's a good F1 question? There it is. You loved it. You ate it up. You were ready.
I did. I liked it a lot. I was like, yes, Peach. Well, thanks so much, Second Cousins. It's kind of the end of a season. It's a little bittersweet.
It did feel weird the last 2 weeks not doing a game wrap-up. There was
Yeah.
no live games. We're just kind of back to doing it every other week now.
Yeah, we're just going to be
I'm kind of comfortable with. It was a long season.
No, for sure. I need a little break right now. But we'll keep doing the episodes every 2 weeks. Maybe some other content thrown in there that we're working on and having fun with. If there's anything you want to see, let us know, Second Cousins. As always.
Off-court cousins. I still want to do it.
Thanks for watching.
Episode 44 is coming up next time on my 44th birthday. Be there.
Peace. I'll do 2 for 44.
44.